No way, Jose.
The following footage proves beyond any doubt that the tanks intentionally set the house on fire. It proves that the Branch Davidians were murdered. You can see that this tank has a gas jet on the front that shoots fire. You can also see the fire quite plainly. The tank goes into the house twice, and each time as it backs out, the fire at the gas jet is plainly visible.
We must all do more to recognize and look for the early warning signals that deeply troubled young people send.
Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. You are watching The Morning Dump, and I am Jose Galison. Pleasure to be with you guys. I've been out for the past few days. Austin has as well. We had a good little stretch where it was like, I think we were basically daily there for a while with The Morning Dump. So which is the goal here in the future, to stick to 5 to 7, and maybe at some point just straight 7. So that's cool. But the drought has not ended just because I'm back. I'll be here, but I do want to let you guys know that Austin next week is on vacation with his family, so he's going to be out for, I think, roughly the week. I forget exactly when he's coming back. So that is, so he'll be out. So Morning Dump will just consist of me. Jules will sit in for Austin on Already Dead this week. So Already Dead will still carry on. Morning Dead will carry on. There'll be less Morning Dead since I can't do them every day. I have a job, but with that, though, he'll be out, so it is what it is. But something exciting to add to the sadness of missing Austin this week. Me and Austin just went on tinfoil hat, so we can announce that. That was, we've already told you guys. I know you guys were hearing this, and you're probably thinking, oh yeah, you had said something about a tinfoil hat appearance. Sometime soon. It's not that one. We're still actually scheduled to come on a month from now. But he just hit up Austin last minute, said, hey, I want to do an emergency broadcast, and, with you and Jose. He said, and then kind of got our numbers and coordinated it, and ta-da, we ended up going late as shit. Not yesterday, but it was Wednesday. So if you watch Tower Gang, you know this already. We talked about it on Tower Gang. It was right after Tower Gang. So with that, I was up late as fuck, up to like 2 a.m. That day. Luckily, I didn't work on Thursday. But with that, I do also want to throw out one more thing in housekeeping. Sorry to my patrons that I didn't knock out that Vegas episode that I promised y'all on Thursday. But that is actually why. Because I went on with Sam Tripoli the day prior, and I was exhausted, and which I already was planning on not getting much sleep that night, because today I had to drive my wife and kids to the airport. It's my mother-in-law's funeral. They're all going up to there. I'm not. I got to stay and watch the kiddies. I've been up since 4 a.m. So I knew I was already not getting much sleep, but I was planning on doing the Vegas episode anyways, because I normally record them at 9-ish. So I knew I wasn't going to get much sleep. It was going to cut into my sleep, but I just couldn't burn both candles on both sides that way, or whatever the fuck the expression is. You guys know what I mean. But with that, it's still knocking out. It's going to be Sunday. I've already hit up the guest. He said it was cool that he understood. It was kind of, I had to take the opportunity. A tinfoil hat appearance dropped in my lap randomly, and I had to jump on it and take what time I could. It was late, but it is what it is. So hey, that'll be coming out soon. I believe it's probably sometime early this coming week. So me and Austin talked about a slew of things: the Delphi murders, the Trump, the Trump administration coming in. I don't know, a handful of things. So, I'm looking forward to you guys seeing that, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of you beautiful people in these live streams, since hopefully, that'll put more shine on us. Like I said, we're doing, like I said, we're still going on next month too. So, hell yeah, cool. Hopefully this live chat will get a whole lot more bustling. So, but I appreciate you guys that do show up. So let me pop in here and say, Kim is barely there saying, hey, good morning. What is up? What's the latest dumpers from Arcane Arsenals? Or regular, what is up from Doctori? Subtards, Jose's on Colored People. Yeah. Yep, it's one of those mornings where, like, also to add to all of that, I just woke up and just slept wrong. I've had a crick in my back. I literally stretched for like 30 minutes this morning, everything to try to get all the cricks out, but it's still one of those like weird ones where I move wrong. It just like it's pinching a nerve, and like, so yeah, fucking I'm getting old. So yeah, it's that's part of why I got to start on. I just had to get settled in. I'm like if you guys catch me today, also like well, it's because I moved wrong and my back's just. I don't know. I need to get some muscle relaxers. That's what I need. I was prescribed them forever ago. Not anymore. But all right, that's enough rambling. But let's go on. Give me some of that conspiring. Says Alan Amofo. Yeah. Good morning, Jose. Saying congrats. Yeah, I am getting old. I do want to give you guys probably a little warning. I think this will probably be a little bit of a longer one. As I just mentioned, the family's gone, so I have the house to myself this weekend. I'm not inconveniencing anyone right now. I'm in the main room. If you guys watch on video, I'm in the main room. No old lady sleeping because she works nights. Yeah, we're here. We are. We're ready to do it. So it's probably gonna be a little bit longer one. I also am going on. I want to brush up a little bit on my OKC knowledge today. With you guys, so we'll kind of do that together, because I am, after this, at about in a few hours, I'll be going on Jeremy Ryan Slate's show, and we'll be talking about Oklahoma City bombing. I think I said something to him about maybe putting like a focus on the like Yiki or or trying to do. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll whatever. We'll go over it all. But I figured maybe we'd go over a try to do article today that I've never read at the end of the show after we've gone through all the timely stuff. And then I may also go through a Yiki one depending on time, but I'm just letting you guys know that. So stick around for that at the end. We'll go through some Yiki, some old school Yiki and Trinity lore, just to brush myself up on some knowledge before we get into it. This one, the one I picked for Trinity, is from Will Grigg, so I've never read that one, so that'll be cool. There we got Doctori said, you hear about the Nashville shooter, the Black Ones accelerations? Oh boy, did I. We have quite a bit. I mean, as I said, there's a longer one. Part of that is because, as I mentioned, I have a couple things I want to brush up, OKC knowledge-wise, but we have a ton to go through. JFK files released, the Nashville shooter manifesto, and just like all the information surrounding him. I mean, that tied in so much in a lot of stuff that we've covered on this show. Ross is freed. I don't think it's been covered in the show. I think it had happened when we were on Already Dead, maybe. I'm not sure. So, I mean, we may have mentioned it there, but I don't think we've really had a chance to kind of revel in that and talk about it. So, yeah, and I just kind of, I also figured today I'd kind of make an appeal. There's a handful of things of stuff going on that I just want to make an appeal for cautious optimism, because that was also something we touched on a little bit on the tinfoil hat episode. I wouldn't say me and Austin argued or anything, but we definitely had a little bit of a mild disagreement and then I kind of made a case for cautious optimism, and I'm going to make a further one here of some more stuff, and we'll get into that. So, but yes, I did hear about that. I definitely have a lot to cover. Eating sour cream and cheddar chips with some salsa con queso, also booze, lots of booze. Alan Amofo, hell yeah, dude. Oh, he's saying, because he said earlier, home alone, same here, woke up super early because I work nights also. Eddie Grimm, good morning, boys. What's up, dude? It's always good seeing you here, Eddie. I said, then Arcane says all the files were declassified. Is there a website to pick all those up? I have absolutely no idea. We will get into that. Maybe we'll find some sort of link. I actually think, I know I put JFK files released, but even that I think has a giant asterisk next to it. Kind of like the asterisk when it came to, we're cutting off foreign funding, which is supposedly the thing we were doing. Except for Israel, Ukraine, this, that, and I think there were some other cutouts. It's kind of like one of those. I think there is a lot of exceptions to this. Dr. Rory's saying they have 45 days to release them, so take that for what it's worth. Yeah. And Alan's saying I'm not an alcoholic, just an overnight worker. Yeah, no, I understand that. I've worked nights before. You just get hammered during the day. If anything, though, I will say that it does eat away at your I don't know, your dignified decorum of a human being, to where, like, when you aren't in that night shift slog, you still will be like not give a shit about drinking at 5 a.m. You know what I mean? Because you're like, you it's no longer as much of a wall. It's no longer as much of an improper thing to do because you've already done it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like you've already broken down that faux pas. So there's a hazard for alcoholism. I think you're saying you're hard to switch over. Yeah, so you do find yourself being far more risk taking when it comes to those sort of activities because you're like, oh, I used to do this all the time. You're like, yeah, well, you're working days now, dumbass. So don't fucking do that. Yeah, 6 a.m. drinking is the tits. Yeah, nothing more fun than getting hammered and going driving the riding mower for the day. That is. Hammered or stoned driving the lawnmower. I'm being a bad influence on you guys, but you guys, no, we're all adults here. I mean, who hasn't gotten a little tipsy and driving their riding mower? You know what? Poors, because they don't have enough land and they will never enjoy that beautiful, beautiful feeling. So, yeah. All right, guys, let's go ahead and, while we wait, I guess, for more people to roll in and to do a little bit of paying the bills, I think I've actually forgotten a couple ads recently, so my bad, Andrew, but I do appreciate your product. I really do. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Ado Shave Co. If you've had that razor burn irritation, those ingrown hairs caused by those deep penetrating multi-blade cartridges, then this is the way to go. You could shave just like your grandpa used to, whether you're shaving your entire face or just edging up your beard. The single blades provide a barber-grade shave for a fraction of the price. The standard issue includes one traditional safety razor and a box of 100 stainless steel razor blades. That's $75 to shave for an entire year. Let's be real, though. Most people, this is going to last you a lot longer. I've barely put a dent in mine, but you guys see, I got a beard right now. I edge up. I shave occasionally. I don't know. I shave maybe like once a month-ish, give or take. Edge up here and there. But, I don't know. If you're someone who shaves on the regular, that may not be the case for you. This may not last for you. Almost, though, I will say that $75 goes a long way. It almost gets you to that daily, but probably not quite if you want to keep a nice sharp blade on the regular. If that's the case, if you are someone who shaves every single day, you may want to consider the Quarter Shave Club. That puts you at about 25 cents per replacement blade. He's also got shave soaps, 3-in-1 body, hair, and face soap as well. The stuff smells great, feels great for shaving with. It's a COVID mandate refusing company. This is a company that refused the mandate. That's how it was born. It was born out of doing that. This is a company that, doesn't hate you. I mean, it provides you a better product, a cheaper product. It's kind of a no-brainer. Really, if you're still kind of doing the fancy, expensive, razor bullshit, you're just being silly goose at this point. Like, this is better, and it is by a company that supports your values. So I don't know what you're doing giving money to people who hate you and give you a shitty product. But use Jose at checkout for 10% off your entire order. Let's go ahead and get back into. Let's check back in with you guys. See what you have. Alan saying usually a coffee and a joint right in time right now. Yeah, I remember back in the days when I used to work construction. Good old coffee and a joint before working for the day. It is nice. It is nice. Eddie's saying day drinking either goes great or terrible for me. Yeah, I'm for it either way. Yeah, all right. We're being a little bit degenerate in here, but I think you should responsibly drink and drive is what I advocate for here, and responsibly day drink. Okay, these are things that should be handled responsibly as adults. Just don't overdo it. I think you're fine to have a beer and drive, right? I mean, who cares? That's the way I look at it. Just don't get pulled over. I don't know. Have a backup plan. Have some sort of container to put it in. Don't be an idiot. Don't do illegal things, guys. Don't do illegal things. I'm just being silly. All right. Let's go ahead and get into some of the stuff, though. I think I mentioned it earlier that today, or actually I did mention it earlier. The whole JFK files. Now it's not just the JFK files. It's the RFK and MLK files as well. Which, by the way, shameless plug, RFK. I've done a whole series on this with Lisa Pease, which she is great. She's an absolute sweetheart. I will warn you guys that are, more simpatico with my line of political thinking. She is very much a lefty, but she is a sweetheart, and she is very knowledgeable on the RFK case. So don't you be mean to her, or I'm going to be very upset with you. She's a nice lady. But yeah, this is the President Trump orders the JFK, RFK, and MLK files to be classified. This is a big one. A lot of people have been waiting for this for years, for decades. Everything will be revealed. I've actually never covered MLK, so just throwing that out there. I always like to mention when there's something I want to cover. I do want to cover it at some point. So if there's anyone out there who knows someone who'd be good at covering MLK, hell, even if it's one of you guys, I'm always open to that. I think I have a patron that I think he wanted to come on and cover Malcolm X, and I think maybe we'll do that at some point. I'm just kind of waiting for him to give me the green light. That's on him. I'm always open for that. I always find that kind of fun to interact with you guys in that way. So just throwing that out there. Not everyone rush to it all at once, but let me know if there's anybody MLK-wise that that does a good coverage of that. Because, yeah, the FBI totally killed him. Let's be real. If you dig that a tiny bit, but I just want to find someone to have a comprehensive coverage on it. But let's watch this video of Trump supposedly declassifying the MLK, JFK, and RFK files to be declassified, as Dr. just mentioned earlier, and that I guess there's going to be a little bit of a delay. But let's go and play this.
Lastly, sir, we have an executive order ordering the declassification of files relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
That's a big one, huh? A lot of people are waiting for this for years, for decades. And everything will be revealed. Okay?
Real quick, I do want to throw it out there. Actually, no, I forgot. I don't have an edit guy. I did warn you guys that soon I'm probably going to I'm going to start maybe getting a video editing guy. Whoever you are in the future, if you hear this, I think that's a great little line drop right there. Everything will be revealed. Like, how like macroaggressions has that intro that has all the different drops of like the important, this would be a good one to throw in there. Just throw that out there. Everyone out there, anyone who does edits, just saying, that's one you need to hold on to. That's a good drop. But all right, everything will be. I mean, obviously he sounds a little ominous, a little spooky. I don't know if he necessarily means anything by it. He thinks he's being, I don't know, profound. But
Give that to RFK Jr.
Sir?
that's kind of cool. That's sweet. I mean, I've definitely given RFK plenty of crap about being a Ziocuck, but that's adorable. That's adorable. He's giving the pen that he signed that with to RFK. So there's that. Now, to what extent is this legit? Let's check in over at Solving JFK. This is my buddy who, as I told you, I did an RFK series. I've done a JFK series as well. So check that out. This is with Solving JFK, who he actually was on Tinfoil Hat, I believe not too long ago for one of the JFK anniversaries of some sort. I don't know if it was the actual assassination or what, but yes, he was on there recently for that. Great follow, or great guy to follow for JFK related stuff. But I figured we just kind of peruse his timeline, and it's because he's commented it a couple times since. So here is from this specific thing. He says, "Look, I want to be optimistic that everything will be released too. But this order is nothing so far. It just gives the DNI 15 days to issue a plan. That plan could be to keep punting. Also, who is the DNI? Oh, that back. Oh, right there. Sorry, that was the back thing I was telling you about right there. Also, who is the DNI who will do this? Biden's old one or the new Trump one that isn't yet confirmed? It's better than nothing, but I'm not impressed yet. So, okay, this is a positive development, as there have been a lot of things recently with Trump, which I will say, a lot of them are all like, fuck yes. And we're going to get into these, towards, probably the second half or later of this episode. But a lot of them do have asterisks, as all of them really do. Like, even this one is like, okay, cool. He's like making a show of this, of how we're going to release all this stuff. But it's, obviously there's an asterisk in that, like, we don't know what comes of this. But I don't know. I would hope that just the forward-leaning nature of this being so really true to form and, following through in the sense of actually at least starting to make those moves to something happening. I don't know. I think it might be a positive development. We'll see. I'm unsure. It is what it is. I mean, it was kind of, we'll see, but I don't know. As of right now, I've been kind of pleasantly surprised, but it could be one of those things. I mean, on the flip side, this could be one of those things where we're getting thrown all these million good things that all of them do have like asterisks next to them, as I mentioned, and we get so easily distracted, like a ADD retard kid or something, that like we're like, oh, cool, and then like we don't really pay attention that every single one of these has an asterisk next to them. and then come to find out when all of these things actually play their course, that those asterisks end up being pretty meaningful and having a large impact in changing the way that you, essentially going a different way, going the way you thought it was not going to go. Like, so those asterisks, point being is we might get flooded with all these like, oh my God, these good news, and then we forget about it. We don't keep on the ball of like, okay, well, what comes of this? And then nothing comes of a lot of these. So it's like you essentially gave a bunch of fluff, and you essentially flooded the field with good to make it seem like you're super good. And that way, but then you only give a little bit of good. You know what I mean? Maybe there's something to that. I don't know. But either way, I don't know. I'm once again still in the cautiously optimistic, corner here. Here's a thread on the specifics of the JFK files from Mel, Village Crazy Lady. She's done quite a few, some threads here and there. They're pretty dang good. Before we get into that, I do want to pop back in there, see what you guys have to say about the, I'm just popping in the chat. See what y'all say. Missed quite a bit. What's the Patreon? Alan O. Mofo says, oh yeah, patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. That's the Patreon. The lowest level's $2. That gives you the early access to the episodes. That gives you to where you can be a talking head on Already Dead. And that also gives you the ad-free RSS feed to where when you go on Patreon, there should be like a link at the top where you copy that and put it in your podcatcher, and it will give you access to an ad-free RSS feed. So essentially, like after this, I'm going to upload this to Patreon, and all my patrons will get access to that, and they won't get the ads that come along with the podcatchers. So ad-free, aside from obviously the one I did earlier, with the Nadeau ad read. Obviously, I'm not going to take that off. I'm not going to go through the effort of, literally cutting out audio or actual video. But so far as the manual ones they put in there, they won't be in there anymore. So that's one way to support, and I really do appreciate those that do that. So I do think you can get quite a lot of value out of that, and I hope you guys do. A lot of you guys do seem to be supporting over there, and hopefully we can make it worth more your value here in the future. I'm gonna be upping the production value at some point here soon. I'm gonna upgrade for one. Just gotta let you guys know I'm gonna be upgrading the StreamYard. I think in the future, say with these morning dumps, me and Austin, I think are just gonna go ahead and stream it to everywhere. So that's why I gotta upgrade the StreamYard, which costs money. Which thankfully from guys like people like you that support, that enables us to do stuff like that. But essentially, I upgrade the StreamYard. It allows us to stream to more destinations. And so essentially, when me and Austin do Already Dead and these morning dumps going forward, I think once we upgrade the StreamYard, we'll just stream out to everywhere. So that's why there's no longer this confusion. The only thing that'll be a little bit confusing is Rumble. Because Rumble is weird about how you upload. Like, for example, I can't set up a stream on Austin's Rumble would be the issue. I can set up a stream on his YouTube because it's linked to my StreamYard. But it doesn't do that with Rumble. For some, you got to do it manually on Rumble. It is what it is. But yeah, so in the future, you'll be able to everywhere get it except for Rumble and our RSS feeds, obviously. So so it'll make it easier for everyone to find our stuff. And then we're gonna also I'm gonna start upgrading, putting chapters in the video descriptions. I will what else? Then also the video production. So I think you guys will like what we're going to be doing here forward. We're building stuff, so that'll be cool. Arcane saying RFK sure has been quiet about lately. Highly recommend Evidence of Revision doc for JFK, RFK, and MLK. I don't know what you mean specifically by that. Evidence of Revision. I don't know if that's a name of one. Alan saying you should probably be a patron. Yeah, you probably should be. But I'm just messing with you. If you guys aren't, I get it. People don't want to give podcast money. I'm probably one of the really bad about it, but it is what it is. If you guys like what you get here, I try to provide some sort of value. You guys can get it aside from just supporting, but for the most part, let's be real. This is really just like a support thing. So if you do like the show, if you want to see more of it, if you want to see the show thrive, do bigger and bigger things, then hey, if you want to see the show one day, if you want to be able to see one day me and Austin be on like Joe Rogan or something, then that's what then chip in $2. I'm not saying I'll be going on Joe Rogan next month or really even ever. I'm not promising anything. I'm just saying that's how this world works. You kind of get what you put in to some extent. So if you chip in a couple bucks, it helps us get a little bit further, helps us up our production value, it helps us get it out there, helps us do all sorts of things that help us get this get our words out there. But yeah. War mode or Jose? I don't even know what war mode is. People talk about it all the time and say it's great. I have no idea. I'm sure it is. I need to check it out one of these days. We got Gray Pill in the chat. What's up, Gray Pill? For folks in the chat, if you want a really good deep dive on all the JFK related people, America's Untold Stories is a huge series. They include his LBJ who gave the order. If that's who I think it is, they're really good too, and I can vouch for that. If it's who I think it is. I believe I studied their stuff for RFK. Here is a Patreon from Emily. Thank you. Joey says, I think the Jesuits wanted JFK killed for not being a Catholic puppet, and they gave the job to the CIA/Masons to carry out. The JFK memorial is super Freemasonic. Perhaps. I don't know. I don't even know enough about the Jesuits. That's one of those ones that I need to learn about. Good morning, Bug Fights. Good morning. Good morning, Abrogate D's. He says, good morning to all of you. Q Bertamo says, Jose, you need to get in the Dangerous Recharge chat. I don't fucking need to do anything. You hear me? You hear me? I don't fucking need to do anything. I'm a grown man. I'll do what the fuck I want. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not like upset. No, I've had people ask me. I don't. What do you mean? This is a Twitter group chat? I don't want to be in another group chat. I'm sorry. I already have enough group chats I don't pay attention to, and they just annoy me, and I feel like a dick for not paying attention to it. So. No, I'd rather just start the dick at no, I won't even join your cult. That's where I start at. So then I don't have to feel guilty about not being involved in the festivities of the cult, because I'm not going to be involved in the festivities of the cult. That's a foregone conclusion. I have enough going on in my life. I have enough group chats. I don't need your group chat, but I'm sure it's great. And I hope you guys are having a great time in there. Yeah, I just made you do an ad read. You sure did, Alan. So yeah, that's how you turn an ad read into content. You can. I'll do it for you. I don't even know what Jules is talking about, but thank you. Good morning, Tyler. Tyler, I sent you a fucking link. If you are available, you can hop on the show. I invited you this morning, but if not, whatever. I get that too. Just scrolling through the chat. Man, you guys are popping. Jose will have a show with Ben Shapiro in the future. Yes. If you guys want to see me have a show with Ben Shapiro, throw in a few shekels. That's how you make things like this happen, guys. You give me money. That's how. Okay? Obviously. Jose, I do need to know what days you do this so I can adjust the calendar. I'm telling you right now, let me be really frank, how this works, and this is part of why I love the idea of me and Austin doing this together, because I am all over the place. And he's a little bit over the place, but kind of mostly is available all the time when these are available are a thing. I do them whenever. I'm currently a part-time worker. I have dialed back to part-time. I work I pick up 2 to 3 shifts a week, sometimes more on the weekend, depending. Typically Tuesday, Wednesday. So really, I'm trying. I may or may not be there on the weekends. It really depends. Because it depends on the wife. A lot of times I like to do stuff on the weekends. But luckily, between me and Austin, we're one of us usually can pick one weekend or the other, or do both. So point is, I don't fucking know. Generally, it seems like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are the days I typically work, but it's all over the place. I couldn't give you a guess. You can just go ahead and put a floating every day at 10 a.m. Eastern. And at Austin or my channel. That it is what it is. And hopefully, and as I mentioned earlier, in the future, we'll put it out to both, I think, once I upgrade the StreamYard. Yeah, that's Mark Gruber. Is a Jew. Yeah, that's who you were talking about, I think. Okay. Boo. Jose, you should watch Jesuits and the History of America. They murked many of our founding fathers around or on July 4th of July. Well, as you guys should know by now with the show, The Morning Dump, this is a show where you guys can contribute. There are all sorts of ways. I am not such a huge account to where I don't see you. I may ignore you guys sometimes, but I see you. I haven't gotten big enough to where I don't see you. I just may ignore you. But if it's a good idea, I will add it to the show. I do that. If you guys, on social media, if you tag me, I'll know. If it's oh, this is content, I know. I'm not just this dude's just randomly tagging me for no reason. I'll know. So if that's what you want to do, tag me in it. You can even DM me. I mean, if it's too schizo, I don't even know what you're talking about. I probably won't respond because it's like, what? But yeah, try to. I mean, if you have like an article or a thread or something, preferably something so short, like you're saying like a documentary here. Obviously, not watching a whole fucking documentary on the show, but if you have some sort of piece of media we can cover on the show, if you have some sort of thing, I'm always all ears. Hit me up on on Twitter, in DMs or just in the timeline, one way or the other. You can. People have emailed me, and I've used that too. So you can email me, thelibertymovementglobal@gmail.com. So hey. There you go. He says I don't do social media. Well, I just gave you an email. You can send me an email, but just giving you guys other options. I also do sometimes pop into the Telegram, the Tower Gang Telegram, and there's a tab in there for the morning dump. I'm really bad at checking in though, so that's not the greatest way. But if you do throw something in there, there's a chance I might see it and throw it in. So I guess that's sort of a perk for supporting Tower Gang. But yeah, let's get back into this. We are on we're back on the Mel thread, the JFK files. She says, as of July 2023, the date of Joe Biden's last certification of files in the JFK record, there were still 4,684 documents being withheld in part or in whole from the public. A short thread on the most important documents still under seal. Partial redactions on page 8 and 10. And the full redaction of page 9 from the June 1961 memo written by White House advisor Arthur Schlesinger to Kennedy on how the president could best accomplish his goal of splintering the agency, the CIA, into 1,000 pieces and scattering it into the winds. All right. The roster of the CIA assassination team that targeted Fidel Castro, so that's redacted as well. Partial redactions in the following pages of the 113-page testimony of CIA spy master James Angleton given to U.S. senators in 1975 in relation to CIA abuses of power regarding the origins of the Israel nuclear program. And there are a bunch of those redactions. So, I mean, are we going to get information on the Israel nuclear? Are we finally going to get to the point in the world where the global community can finally be like, yeah, Israel's got nukes? Because everyone knows. I mean, this is just stupid at this point. Please note how unbelievably huge this one is. Trump has essentially ordered the CIA to acknowledge Israel's nuclear weapons program. Do you know what that means? The U.S. will be prohibited from selling or transferring arms to Israel under the Arms Export Control Act. Now, I'm not fucking retarded, so I know that's not happening. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been a lot of things that I'm like, I've struggled to believe what's happened, or I've been blown away. Like, for example, like a lot of these pardons, like say, for example, the J6 ones. I thought if you'd asked me if, 4 years ago, if he was going to pardon the J6 people, I'd be like, yeah, maybe some like the non-violent ones here and there, or like, this specific person or that specific person. He's probably going to be like very careful about like not imprisoning anyone that could even be slightly objectionable or close to like, well, that one's sorted. But no, just all of them. Like, so, I mean, I've been, pleasantly surprised so far. This one is just like such a beyond the pale, that there is no way in hell. Like, I would put my house up. Like, I would bet like all of my life worth on that, like within the next few years that like we will not be, the U.S. as a nation will not be prohibiting us or selling arms. Well, never mind, I'm retarded. I saw arms. I guess there's with arms. I was thinking for some reason I read that too quick. I was thinking just like in general, like kind of like a trading, but arms. Even arms though, like really, even that, no, it's not happening. I mean, maybe there could be some sort of reduction in flow or something. But I guess I'm not as over the top. Like I bet everything, but even then I'd bet a lot. I'd bet a lot. That there's no way we'd stop selling arms over this, at least. I don't know. We'll see. For the heavily redacted 77-page summary of the CIA's surveillance activity logs in Mexico during the 6 weeks Lee Harvey Oswald spent in Mexico City before JFK was killed. Note, these are likely the records the CIA wants to keep hidden more than any other because they likely directly implicate the CIA and JFK's assassination. 5. The personnel records of George Juananides, an undercover CIA agent located in Miami, who had Oswald under surveillance for a time prior to JFK's assassination. It is speculated that these records will show that CIA was purposely manipulating Oswald for propaganda purposes. MK Ultra ? Declassified CIA records show that Juanides, I don't know if I'm saying that right, now deceased, obstructed 2 official investigations by not disclosing what he knew about contacts between his Cuban agents and Oswald. As you can see from the links and pics above, the files are already redacted. The likelihood that they will be re-released, still redacted, is next to zero. Will the agency fight this EO? Yes. Will Trump tell them to pound sand? Let's hope so. Is everything head to the shredder? None of the people running the agency want to keep their freedom. There are literally dozens of websites and hundreds of historians/investigators who have tracked every single detail of this for decades. If something is still missing, we will know. So yeah, and then you made an article here. So yeah, I mean, that was mostly about like the redactions. I think there are probably other files that we just haven't gotten at all, but that was, seem to be primarily focused on the redactions. But even then, obviously the implications, even the redactions, release all that. All right, let's pop back on the chats. What's up, Jose, from the real D Ford? What is up, dude? Not as much. Let's pop back in and roll back. I started peeing in Scott's butt a few days ago, says Q Bertimo. Try looking into the JFK connection with Secretary of Defense Forstall. Okay. I know there was some, from my recollection, there's weird stuff about the generals, so it would make sense if there was some sort of Secretary of Defense connection. It was the generals, insisted on, staying there for the autopsy and were making, commands to doctors and all sorts of weird stuff. So yes, it wouldn't surprise me if there's a SecDef part. Someone's saying that Ryan Dawson NUMEC documentary is pretty good. Okay. Angleton has a memorial for him in Israel. Seriously, he ran the Israeli desk himself. That is interesting. All right, I did not know that. That is all right. That makes sense. It's funny. I realized I kind of feel like one of the things I thought about after the AAA episode I just did the other day, which you guys haven't watched yet, so you don't even know what I'm talking about, which I guess I'm about to tell you. But there was one, sometimes you just get caught in conversation, you forget that, you're, especially when you've been doing this for a decent while, you just kind of are having conversations. You forget that, the impact of, oh, yeah, this is going to go out to, a shitload of people, and this isn't just, me shooting the shit with, my buddy to acquaintance sort of, and I just on the fly for some reason, I don't remember what we were talking about, but I go, I don't know what I don't know what sparked it, but I literally just kind of ADD moment was just kind of oh, Squirrel was did you guys know out of the, you guys know that the fucking Mike Benz's, I think it was his grandpa, I said it was worked for James Jesus Angleton. And he's and then later I thought about that. And I was oh, well, I just basically fed jacketed Mike Benz on fucking tinfoil hat, which I know you guys have, if you've, I did actually a segment on that in the morning dump a while ago on whether Benz is a Fed. And the conclusion I came to is I don't know. I just that's my honest, there's lots that, as we say in this realm, it glows. So there was a lot about him that glue that I'm I would not be the least bit fucking surprised. I mean, just that fact alone, come on, it's generational. But there are people who have feds in their fucking family and they don't end up being feds. To be fair, I think Benz was straight up essentially a fed, some sort of nerd fucking tech fed or something, essentially. So, even then, I guess he kind of already was in some sort of glowy something or other. Now he's supposedly out and, telling us all the stuff, kind of in the same realm as the Kyle Serafins and stuff of the world where they're now they're out and they're I don't think he necessarily got out on a bad note. I don't know his whole story, to be kind of honest with you. I'm kind of talking my ass, but I just thought it was funny. I just recalled that I'm shit, I did that. Cause it felt it was just a thought that came to mind. Cause it was just a fun little weird gee whiz. And I was cause it is weird. You're dude, what the fuck? And, yeah, no, but at the same time, it is also oh, cool. I just fed jacketed some random dude that I have no real malice towards. I don't know if he's a Fed. I wouldn't be surprised, but, I don't know. I just thought it was funny. I accidentally fed jacked him. Just kind of casual conversation. Sorry, Mike, if you're out there. I don't know for sure that you're a Fed. Okay, I'll say that. I don't know. You may not be. I mean, I could have a conversation with you and come back and like, oh, I don't know, all the stuff. I could bring up all the stuff that when we covered it, there were like all the stuff that's weird, that definitely is curious, and maybe he could give us satisfying answers. I don't know. So I mean, and I don't like Fed jacketing people, but there is also like sometimes you're like, it gets a little on the nose. You're like, I gotta at least acknowledge this, because I'm not retarded. You know what I mean? Like, I may be dumb, but I'm not retarded. You know, not that retarded. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure this lady's incorrect with the arms sales. We sell weapons to nuclear nations all the time. I don't know if maybe there was like some sort of specific what they meant in that we sell weapons to nuclear nations all the time. And like, I mean, maybe she meant like in the way they acquired them, that they were illegally or a rogue nuclear nation. Because I don't know. I'm assuming there's probably some sort of like normal rigmarole that nations have to go through to become edified as a nuclear nation. You can't just, like, it's a big deal. You don't just get to be a fucking nuclear nation. So I think maybe that might have something to do with it. I have no idea. Completely talking out my ass. Tyler's saying, hey, I'll join in a few. All right, cool. I might see you in a bit. Murder, Death, Kill said, let's see some OKC VHS surveillance tape circa 1995. You silly goose, they don't exist. All right, cool. The Angleton Memorial is in Israel is next to a landfill. They don't take care of it. It's more of a joke. Yeah, good. Fuck him. Boo-boo. Abrogate D says Ryan Dawson is a douchebag. I want to just throw it out there. The only reason I brought that up is because Abrogate D's is a friend and a sponsor of the show, and so to some extent I feel financially obligated. But this is another one of those things like the Fed. I prefer not to spread this sort of negativity, but yes, I've definitely had my run-ins with Ryan Dawson. He is one of those people that his biggest enemy seems to be himself, and I really wish he'd actually kind of get over it, because he has a lot of great work. It's just he just does not play well with others, and not in like a cool way. You know what I mean? Like some people play it off as like, oh, that's cool because I'm fighting for truth. Like, no, you're just being a dick. Okay, cool. Poo-poo. Fred's recruit from Fed families is what Dr. Roy said. Yeah, of course. I mean, it makes sense. Jose with the Fed doxing. Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, well, let's get back into... Well, actually, we're not even back. We're getting straight up into a new topic. Let's get into the school shooting, which I assume... I mean, I was pretty bummed. I actually told you guys, the reason I didn't do the morning dump yesterday, I have had a fucking rough, 48 hours. I mean, not even rough. It's just been a lot of different stuff. Yesterday, the reason why I didn't do a morning dump, if you follow my Twitter, you knew this, but I let you guys know that I was, I literally hit like a pothole and hit a flat. I had recently patched it. Anyway, point being, you don't know the details of why I got a flat. Anyways, I got a flat, got stuck on the side of the road, and it was at that point when I got on the side of the road that I realized, oh shit, I accidentally swapped out the jack kit from my one car and this car, and normally, for most times, that wouldn't matter. But a lot of cars have different lug nut sizes. For example, one of my cars is a little hoopty tiny car, and the other one's my big SUV. So one has a larger lug nuts. And then also on the SUV, there's like on the thing for one of the tools that you use for like raising the jack, it has a little thing for lowering the dummy because it's the stupidest dummy design. Anyways, long story short, I didn't have the tools I needed because they were in the other car, and I had the wrong tools in this car. And so I had to literally wait and just hope there was a good Samaritan for well over an hour. And then somebody came and had the tool the proper tool, and then it worked out. Because, I mean, I can swap out a tire. It's not hard at all, but I need the proper tool. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not fucking Superman. So, but that's why we didn't do the morning dump yesterday. I don't know why I felt the need to tell you that whole story. I don't know what that relates. Oh, the relation to this story is that I was holding on. I really was looking forward to covering this yesterday, and actually I'm kind of bummed I didn't yesterday. One, it was more obviously it's more breaking, but then also the internet has scrubbed the manifesto quite a bit. I haven't been able to find it many pieces other than small. There were a lot of good threads or complete versions of it out there. Not so much anymore. So yeah, I'm having a brain fart. I looked at the chat and I got sidetracked. But no, the manifesto, a lot of it's been a lot hard to find. It looks like it's been taken down because it is pretty insane. We read it on Tower Gang, parts of it, not even close to all. I think it's something ridiculous, like over 100 pages or some shit. We'll go through bits and pieces of it here today. But it's a bummer we weren't able to cover it yesterday, and then maybe have a more complete version of it. But we'll go through it. Hopefully, I will go ahead and warn you guys. There is a solid fucking chance that this gets new. Holy shit, man! We almost got like 100 people on fucking Rumble right now. It's popped over there. That's weird. That's that uncharacteristic. But anyways, what was my point? Yes, we're the shooter. I got sidetracked. You guys distracted me. I got sidetracked my own. But yeah, we got the shooter here. A lot of this has been taken down. But it is wild. Let's go ahead and get into it. We have the Antioch High School shooter has been identified as 17-year-old Solomon Henderson, who killed one student and injured another. Officials have identified. Oh, I remember what I got sidetracked. I just wanted to warn you guys, there's a very solid chance this episode could get taken down, at least off of YouTube. I highly doubt this will get taken off of Rumble or any of the other, like the audio podcatchers. Those almost never get taken down. It's always YouTube that's the issue. Rumble, you'd have to put something insane for it to get taken down off Rumble. But the nature of this, I'll be dropping the N-bomb a bunch, all sorts of craziness when we go into this, and I'm not going to censor, just especially since literally the context here is reading another thing. But I will go ahead and let you guys know that Tower Gang, I think it already got taken down, and I believe it was as a result of that. Because to be fair, if you know Tower Gang, we weren't analyzing it in a sober manner. We were having fun with it, and it is quite a wild manifesto. So we did have nuts. We did go nuts. So I get why, in a sense, but now if it was seriously, it could have just been an algo thing, and they just knew that we said those words or whatever, and that could have done it. I don't know. So I'm just letting you guys know. Make sure you're following me on Rumble, because make sure you subscribe and like over there to help out that platform, because it's because of stuff like that I'm willing to be on it and to not edit myself when it comes to stuff like this. Popped over. I was looking to see if fucking Tyler was here yet. Fucking slow. But yeah, well, Tyler should be in here shortly. I was hoping to get in there before we actually moved into the next. Let's stall a little bit. I'm gonna stall for a second. Maybe give him a second. I'm gonna pop through y'all's chat, see what y'all have to say. Oh, I still had this one up from before. Yeah. All right. I'm not reading all this mean stuff about Ryan. I like Ryan. I just wish I just really wish he'd just stop, getting in his own way. Honestly, I think I like his content, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, but yeah, whatever. I do understand how you and David get along. The long story shorting, yeah, we're very similar people, me and Raven, I believe so. Yeah, so everyone's taking. How many of y'all cried when you thought they were taking away your thick cock app? Oh, I didn't give a shit at all. That is another thing recently. I mean, I've mentioned this on the show. This isn't news at all. Obviously everyone knows that it got taken down. I will say it was funny that when Trump got put back in, I just kind of was joking with my 15-year-old daughter. I was kind of like, hey, so just kind of like, the day after it happened, I just kind of randomly was like, so Trump's president now. You got inaugurated. She's like, cool. He's like, she goes, he brought TikTok back. And now there's only 2 genders, killing it so far, or something like that. And so I just thought it was funny. So that's all my 15-year-old understanding of politics is, which is whatever. That's the amount I want her to give a shit about it. Yeah, I mean, he brought it back though. Israel big mad. So Ryan Dawson, everyone's being mean to Dawson still. Please donate before Jose's inevitable deportation. Yeah, that's another way, guys. If you guys want me on Joe Rogan, if you want me to have a regular show with Ben Shapiro and to not get deported, you need to chip in a couple bucks at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. Yeah, All right, cool. Joey, the devil's dick, as you release. All right. All right, cool. Well, that's I guess Tyler's just not. He's just taking too fucking long. We're just gonna go ahead and get into the chat. We're caught up with the chat. Sorry, Tyler. Well, you'll have to catch up. I'm sure he's aware of the basics at least, though. So we can get back into this. Officials have identified the deceased shooter at Antioch High School in Nashville, Tennessee, as 17-year-old Solomon Henderson. Henderson live streamed the attack on the platform Kick, during which he fatally shot one student and injured another one before taking his own life. Authorities revealed that Henderson left behind a manifesto containing a disturbing, frequently asked questions section. So it literally was like a gigantic FAQ drop. In one entry, the manifesto asked, "Why did you do this?" Henderson responded, for your enjoyment. This is my gift to you after years of Fed posting, wasting years griefing, yelling nigger at the top of my lungs and voice calls to faggot streamers. Now, I do want to let you guys know, I'll show you guys a photo of this guy here in a bit, but dude's black. So another question asked, are you a white supremacist? To which he replied, once again, context here, this is a black man, says, no, I'm a golden nigger. It wouldn't make sense for me to be one. I can't be a white supremacist. What a retarded question. The manifesto initially shared on Henderson's Instagram account and later deleted. Here's a video. I'm not going to watch it. This isn't even the one that they're referencing. Looks like it's from the perspective of somebody else that's like, I guess, decided, some fucking kid that's like, hey, I'm getting shot at, I should start videoing, which is a weird choice to make, but whatever. Kids are weird, I guess. But yeah, this is just kind of him, and you don't actually see him at all in this video. You can hear him talking. You hear a gunshot, which is supposedly a gunshot where he shoots himself. That's about it on that. All right. So that's kind of the basics. So he shot himself. He only got one person. Well, I guess two people, but one of which died. One got injured. So I'm sure we're going to have more to come. I have an article to read with you guys. I'm still fairly fresh on that stuff, so I don't know all the details. So a lot of this we'll be figuring out together as we go. All right. Let's go with this. Pagliacci the Hated. She's usually got some pretty good. I've seen her some good content, especially on this sort of stuff before. She covers a lot of the I don't know. It seems like these type of shooters or accelerationists or this beat seems to be her thing. So she says the alleged manifesto of the Nashville shooter includes an actual FAQ. He called himself the last true Rhodesian on Instagram. So here is a picture of him. I don't know why the skull thing's on his face. That was in the video too. It showed that as, so I don't know if that's some weird kid TikTok thing or something or other. I don't know. Here is a part from the Nigger Cell Manifesto is what it's called. It says, why did you do this? For your enjoyment. This is my gift to you after years of Fed posting. Oh yeah, we already said that. It says, were/are you a Nazi? No. Actual Nazis have been dead for 80 years. That's almost a century. Anyone in the modern world claiming to be a Nazi is a LARPer. He's actually completely correct there, which is funny. And then he put below the caption, but they do have my sympathies, which is like kind of funny. The last line, I can't help it. I know this guy did something awful. I can't help it. Are you a victim of bullying? Personally, in my life, I can't remember a single instance of being bullied. At least not unconventionally sense. I was bullied in the culture sense. This is kind of written somewhat retarded. He's clearly was not that super intelligent or anything, which everyone is bullied in. No, but the media, attention seekers will say I was, and other bullshit like he was just a quiet kid. Thoughts on school life. School's a daycare. It's just impossible for you to actually think. You say things because other people have said it before, then go repeat ad nauseum somewhere else, which ad nauseum spelled wrong. This fucking people haven't had original thought in their lives. Just spell check abound. Everyone at my school is a wigger, nigger, faggot, spicks, sand nigger, Prajit, skooks, and worse. I've even seen Sephardic kikes/spick Jews. They all just say the same buzzwords from pig talk or nig talk. I can't see what it says. So was there a particular event or personal reason you decided to commit to a violent act? Yes, I was born fucking the hellhole of LA and lived there for a couple years. I won't vary depth into that, but getting beat by fucking brown people and getting almost robbed fucking spicks and beaners. Shitskins Muslims touching filthy hands on me. They ruined my fucking life. Do you have any groups that are backing you? Yes, the r/Markiplier on Reddit, which once again, Hard not to laugh, but it is pretty funny to do a shooting and give a shout out to some sort of random ass Reddit. Not saying do that, but all right, that's a wild, because obviously I don't think Markiplier had anything to do with it. I don't know enough about Markiplier. I know he's some sort of big influencer of some sort. But yeah, are you a white supremacist? No, we already read that one earlier. Are you a black supremacist? No, I would be if niggers weren't so fucking retarded and could work on something together. Total nigger death, which means nothing in that context, which is weird. What motivated you to commit these acts of violence? Misanthropy, but only for very specific groups and races. Hatred of niggers. What do you wish for? A better, neater, cleaner world by eliminating all undesirables. We must aid the Aryans regardless of our race. He says, do you intend to kill police officers or other enforcers of the state? No, although modern police officers exist to serve the elite, many of them are of decent character, and it would make me very upset if I killed one. But only you know if I did. All right, weird. Did you carry out the attack for clout? No, carrying out an attack for fame would be retarded. After all, who can remember the name of the attackers in the September 11th attack in New York? How about the attacks in the Pentagon? The attackers in the plane that crashed in the field that same day? I will be forgotten quickly, which I do not mind. After all, I'm a private and mostly introverted person. And then it goes into something else. So yeah, there's a lot. There's more here that you see here. It says nigger cell, involuntary nigger. Which that wouldn't even make sense because cell is the celibate part. You'd think it'd be in nigger or nigger all whatever. That's retarded. But anyways, the West has fallen. The West has fallen. Billions must die. Billions must die. That's what it says here. And then he says there's another part that says no lives matter. I'm ashamed to be black. I feel like shit being nigger. For anyone who wants to use calling me a coon, sellout, whitewash, Uncle Tom / ruckus, blah blah blah. Fuck off. Go back to your ass clapping fat negresses. It seems like I can never hear black people doing anything positive anymore. Niggers have to ruin shit. Niggers have to do what niggers do best. We should have protests this moment. Ilea Ingram, mudshark girl with single mother, absent nigger father. No, I have no intention of being a poster boy for the nigger community because I'm smarter than most of them, and it gives me migraines to think that all the general black community can do at this point is race bait, sell drugs, kill for petty to no reason, which is incredibly ironic given the circumstances here, shoot hoops, beat people up, eat fried chicken all the time, embrace the stereotype and saying we was kings, when the speakers of the shitty community include the faggot Ghazi Kodzo and the Jamar Clark Jar Jar didn't do nothing crowd, and when more and more black people are becoming SJWs and teaching about white privilege in universities instead of taking responsibility for their own fucking actions and solving the real problem. Okay, well, geez, that's a lot. And then there's a random picture of someone's butthole. So like this is what we're working with here. And then Pagalachi says Google's now deleted the manifesto saying it violates their terms of service. I still have it up on my phone. So whatever. She's got screenshots is all she's saying here. But this is the conclusion of it. So this is the last we'll read. Actually, no, that's not the last we'll read. We'll read one more after this. But this is the final remarks. This date, November 18th, 2024. I was so miserable. I wanted to kill myself. I just couldn't take anymore. I'm a worthless subhuman, a living, breathing disgrace. That all changed once I read Ju Raj's Krashik's Manifesto in English edition's Mass Cleaner Handbook. All saints would probably hate me. Maybe not Dylan. He had nigger friends. Okay. I know what I'm doing is insignificant in the grand scheme of things. I'll be milked for laughs like a LOL cow. Everyone was passing me by. It seems pointless to try at times. All my IRL friends outgrew me like they didn't fucking know me. Being me was so fucking humiliating. That's why I spent all day disassociating. I know doing this act or make better than the rest of other niggers, but I'm a sub-5 loser. Nothing I do will make up for what my people have done. My family I don't really have a good relationship with feels you were controlling. I just break free and treat like an actual slave at times. Ironic, I know. You weren't the best parents. You constantly put the blame on me or took anger out on me for little reason depending on your mood. That person I really liked was my little brother. Rather, I live for myself and I don't want to swim through sludge called life. I'm not based, keyed, or whatever. The only good nigger is a Yeah, I'm not even going to read that one just because that one's, I mean, I said the word, but just more that I'm worried about triggering it for violent stuff. I take great pride in the fact that the only people before and after me will commit similar acts. Not only the USA, but all over the world. I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. I take great pride in the fact that the people before and after me will commit similar acts. That's weird. And then, then he has this document on inspirations. Is there a particular group or people that radicalized you the most? He says Candace Owens, Ethan Ralph, Nick Fuentes, Turkey, Tom, Ruben Sim, Mr. Beast, Cobson Talks, Wayne Lamright, iDubbbz, Destiny, Hassan, Parker. To expand this, Candace Owens has influenced me. Above all, each time she spoke, I was stunned by her insights and her own views, helped push me further and further to the belief of violence over the Jewish question, along with Turkey Tom and Ruben Sim pushing me to the alt-right pipeline. We're taught violence and extremism by video games, music, literature, or cinema. Yes, following music called Incelcore/Shootercore taught me kill. Kanye West and playing games like CSGO, Manhunt, Cry Out of Fear, Postal, Doom, Skylanders, Mega Chud, TNO, HO14, Mora Mia Middle School Shooter. All right. I mean, this is all ridiculous and almost ununderstandable. Here's another photo of him. Here's him Sieg Heiling, since that's in vogue these days. Whoa, we got Tyler back there. What's up, dude? How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Jose.
Whoa. Hey, what's up, dude? Jeez, you sound bummed.
So I'm on the West Coast, and it's 8 o'clock, but I didn't get up till 7 because it's Friday. So so you got to tell me about this beforehand. I would have gladly got up. Anyway, thanks for having me join in. I was listening the whole time while I was driving to the office, so glad to join in on the N-word overload for this morning. So hell
yeah. No, you're here for the total nigger death. So let's fucking go.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Let's. Okay. I don't know if you have any thoughts so far. We've been kind of digging through. I'm kind of getting to the end. I did want to let you guys. I mean, you said you were listening earlier. I do want to warn you. I am at the end. Once we've gone through all the topics, I'm going to read a couple articles. OKC stuff, so I figure you probably want to balance at that point, because otherwise that's just gonna be you sitting there listening.
I do enjoy you reading stuff, so maybe.
Yeah, but I mean it's weird to have a guest at that point. You know what I mean?
Overlooking your shoulder. Yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah.
But you could just nicely say, Tyler, we're done with you now. You don't have to.
I'll just say, Tyler, fuck off.
Okay.
Okay. Did I accidentally X out of the tab? All right, let's bring it back up. Here are more photos of the guy. We showed you this one earlier. Here's him with some anime chicks, more anime chicks, but with the edgy little fucking skull mask. And then here's him.
Take a knife and drain your life.
Whatever the fuck this is.
If you got a wrist, you gotta ice it. Feel this nigga nice ass.
Yeah, I mean, some weird video of him talking to. I will say this does look like some dumb shit I would do when I was like 18, like fucking around with a camera, or not 18, like 16, whatever. I think I was less retarded by 18. But it looks like some dumb shit I would do when I was a teenager. But I would never have posted that to social media, which I'm assuming he did, because otherwise, how the fuck would anyone ever see this? So, yes, if this was not social media, no judgment. He's just a weirdo. If that was social media, that's fucking weird, dude. Any thoughts? I mean, this is just photos of him more, so. Yeah.
Well, the bad part is, I don't know if it's bad, but he's dead. So it's hard to know if a lot of this is troll stuff. Like, he's going to go out. So, mentioning Candace Owens to really, because if he's obviously in the troll space, or he's well versed in all these people. So why not? I mean, if I was going to do this, I would blame, I'd say I was inspired by Bernie Sanders and whatnot, all this left crap. And then you go out and it's a troll in the most grandiose way. I don't know if that's what he's doing. Glad he only killed one person. But it seems a little odd, honestly.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there is, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. I see a lot of people in chat mentioning it. There is, as you were mentioning with the trolling, there is something to that. This is, there seems to be some sort of acceleration connections, which are, kind of like the Satanism, 764, whatever, which we'll get into that a little bit. But the part of the whole thing with accelerationism is just it's not even really necessarily pure like ideological in the left-right sense, and like, you know, so which, you know, we read some on Tower Gang. So far, I mean, maybe this will show up in one of the tabs we bring up later, but I didn't see this one. But I know on Tower Gang last night we were reading one passage from his manifesto, and he was, you know, at one point going on about he hates Israel and, you know, fuck those kikes and, you know, hope they all die and this and that. And the next second he's in a different page talking about how like all the Palestinians need to die.
Yeah.
And so like it's this, and as you pointed out with like the inspirations with like Candace and like and like Mr. Beast, and like it is like it's part trolly, part fun. It's very much just like Zoomer mindset, which is very characteristic of these accelerationist or the you know, the Satanists or whatever. They are very much like a younger crowd. It's very much meme-ish. But it is playing off of, they will play both sides and intentionally aggravate and do the shit that annoys them. Because like not everyone's built like me and you or the Tower Gang people to where like, you know, we covered this on Tower Gang yesterday. We fucking, or Wednesday, and we laughed and we had fun and we were like, total nigger death. Like, but like a normal person read this and they're like, oh my God. Like, especially considering the context that it's like an actual shooting happened, which makes sense. But people aren't able to see that like, this is ridiculous. That this is clearly this is over, that this isn't real, at least in the sense of it isn't real in like, that is clearly over the top to evoke that reaction. Like the reaction that you are giving it when you see nigger, or you see him going about kikes or Palestinians or whatever the given, you know, obnoxious thing is, over the top, you know, really like, it's like, if anything, it's almost like going over the top to like, it's almost like when your little kid learns the word nigger or something. They're like nigger. Like they're trying, it's like when a little kid learns that bad word and they're trying to get you to get upset. That's basically the vibe here. I mean, we'll show more of that in a second.
Is that him in whiteface?
Oh, I think maybe it was. I didn't even notice that was what was up until you mentioned it. Yeah. So, okay. This is, God, I keep like breathing. Sorry if I sound weird. I like breathing too deep. I'm like, my back. All right, here is this is BX. Important update on the Antioch shooter. She says she's still shifting through information regarding the school shooting today in Nashville, which was committed by a 764 adjacent group connected to several recent acts of violence, including the school shooting in Madison, Wisconsin. Unlike your favorite drama/breaking news accounts, which rack up millions of impressions and plenty of ad revenue by speculating and spreading misinfo before the bodies are cold. That's what we do here, by the way.
Right.
So, but I don't get the millions of impressions, so it's okay. I don't have to feel as bad since I'm only making like, I don't know, like, you know, like dozens of dollars here, you know, for a stream, as opposed to like, you know, it's whatever. You don't have to feel as bad when I spread misinfo and don't make money. I spend my time being thorough and making sure I can provide an accurate assessment, since this group is my specific expertise. Obviously, I'm joking. I mean, to some extent, this daily show, it is going to be like, you know, new information. So it's always going to be, to some extent, you should weigh this information with that. This is newer information, unless it's something, obviously, we're going to cover OKC later. But with this is new. So all of this is going to be very, very much subject to being...
I would just say, too, you know, the news will come in as if what they're reporting is just factual, where you're at least presenting it as, here's what we know, and perhaps we can speculate around that. So you're actually much more precise than they are.
Yep. Yeah, because I'm also coming from like, don't believe every bit of this, because you'd be a retard to believe everything I say, because I'm kind of retarded. I will have a much more comprehensive breakdown later today or tomorrow. This time I can confirm the following details. The shooter went by the username Groidcell and is linked to a 764 adjacent part of COM. This is the same group of accounts that were glorifying Samantha Rupnow and forging fake manifestos in the aftermath of Madison. And I swear I could have swore I've seen this Groidcell thing or heard tell it before the shooting even happened. So I feel like I've seen him around before, because I mean the circle's pretty small of these people. Groidcell's real name was Solomon Henderson. I didn't know his real life identity before yesterday, but I had interactions with him and the rest of his group because they attacked me over my reporting on the Madison shooting. I will say that you know, for those who doubt that, with the 764 stuff, when I first started getting into it, I mean, I never really, you know, crossed the line to where I was like, oh God, but they were clearly priming / sort of made threats. I mean, they were all retarded, because it is like people online, like, I'm going to kill you and rape your kids and this and that. And you're like, I don't think you are, But okay, like, I don't know, I couldn't really take it seriously, but they do that sort of shit, and they'll threaten to dox you and this and that. They started a little bit with me, but I mean, I don't dig into this as much as VX, so I'm only saying that to back up that like that is a thing that happens with these guys. Identified Groidsel as a person of interest and sent his handle to Wisconsin authorities back in December. The most important piece of info I found his online footprint was a bio on his YouTube account, which read, "Total human death, free Slain, free Tobbs, R.I.P. Samantha Rupp now. I did it for the LULs," which kind of leans into what I was talking about earlier with the idea of like this is kind of like an accelerationist Zoomer mentality, mimetic, like, you know, clearly just trying to upset people. Henderson wasn't a black, racist, neo-Nazi incel groiper. He was influenced by misanthropy and total human death. Satanic accelerationist concepts that can be traced to O9A and MKU influence. Slain and Tobbs were attackers influenced by MKU/NLM groups. More info for these groups linked in the comments. We're almost at the end of it. Sorry. About the manifesto, nearly all the manifesto was copy/pasted from manifestos of other shooters and contained a lot of memes and inside jokes. Henderson is by far the least original copycat shooter I've ever seen. He intentionally cited an absurd variety of celebs and websites as his inspirations in hopes people would knee-jerk react to it, and that's exactly what they did. This is an accelerationist tactic that only works because the media, including X accounts, rush to politicize and sensationalize the shooter's online footprint. So maybe stop doing that. Most importantly, I want everyone to stop memeing and arguing for a brief moment and acknowledge that a young girl's parents woke up this morning without their daughter. Her name was Jocelyn Escalante, and she was 16 years old. Ad revenue isn't worth losing your humanity over. So that's awful. Apparently, I guess the girl he killed was a 16-year-old girl. Yes, that's really fucked up. So, but yeah, I don't know. Any thoughts, Tyler? I threw a lot at you there, but I think we're probably, just to let the audience know, there's going to be more coming in the future. So I have one more thing on this to go through with you guys, but I mean, this looks to be the majority of what we got so far, and I feel like there will be more going forward, as she's implying. But this is what we have at the moment. Any thoughts?
Yes. So first of all, she kind of concluded what we did. Well, I guess she did an investigation to find out that the manifesto was kind of what we were saying, right? It's a big troll. I'm going to go do this. How convenient that this shooter is connected to her big issue, the 764. Interesting. Is everything connected? I mean,
everything is connected.
Don't get me wrong. I'm sure it's true, but I'm like, oh, how convenient. This is your big issue. And look, we got a shooter that just happens to be in your wheelhouse. I could be completely wrong, but that's my first reaction, which puts me back a bit. And then I read the rest of it and I go, okay, maybe she did some work on that. I don't know how she knows that that's it. I didn't see specifics showing how she tied this guy to him, but good for her.
In knowing her, there will be. So that's incoming, as she's implying. So, but I mean, I will, as the little bit I can I swear I've seen, I mean, I'll be honest. I follow a lot of people. I mean, me and BX have done multiple shows together, but every now and then she'll show up on my timeline. So I'm not regular. I'm not up to date on all the stuff going on, but I've definitely, kind of, almost like have that, like, I've seen it flash before my eyes, and I swear I've seen Groidsel and other stuff before this stuff. So I think maybe there's some to it, but I mean, obviously everything grain of salt. We'll find out more going forward. This manifesto was pure nihilistic comedy. Eric Andre show on steroids, from Soul Explorer Coaching. So let me see. BX and Ken Silva have a good article on it. Yes, that is the article I have up right now, which we will go through in a second. I believe that's probably the only article I'll go through with you entirely, Tyler, just to not subject you to reading entire articles that you just sitting there like a weirdo. But because it is one article I did want to go through to get some more details, but that's the last one we have to go through here. But yeah, let's scroll through the chat. Props for saying the word. Yeah, that's what I'm about here, dude. That I'm about that life. I'm about that nigger life, dog. Yeah, Vince, the best person to listen to, but I'm okay. And what's going on with you these days, Tyler? You doing anything interesting recently so far as shows? Scrolling through the chat.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. I'm going to go on for 15 minutes. Austin.
You guys are being so mean to Austin, but yes, it is a problem.
I was on that show. It was hilarious because I'm in the chat and I'm just like,
yeah, poor
he's a
guy.
Good dude. I enjoyed being on there with him because you learn a lot.
He's super knowledgeable, and this is what I try to explain to him. He is. Me and him are very similar, but like at like different parts. Like, I'm more personable, less as knowledgeable, and he's more knowledgeable, less personable. So, like,
You guys work.
Yes, he has such a deep wealth of knowledge, but then I do think sometimes he gets a little bit when it comes to delivering, and also like people need to realize when it comes to Austin, he did solo work this entire time. He's done like something ridiculous, like around 100 or more episodes of like really well researched, deep solo stuff. And then I kind of sucked him into this other side of things. Where like, hey, let's do live shows, let's do streams, let's do interviews, let's do whatever, and like kind of like bring him to this other side of things. So that way you can kind of like flirt with the crowd, kind of to that way you can get him out there because he has great work. Which it's been paying off. When he got on YouTube, he's been on YouTube for a long time now, but just recently the algo just hit and he's gotten like damn near almost 2,000 subscribers in like a month.
Wow.
Just because he hit like 30,000 off one of his episodes. So just hit. But anyways, point being is, he hasn't done people like me and Tyler. Tyler's done a lot of like producing his own stuff, but particularly me, I've done mostly just nothing but interviews. So like most of my stuff is squeezing content out of other people. I'm kind of a parasite in that way, if you will. But I contribute sometimes in my own shit.
That takes a lot of work. I'm trying to do more of that myself, but I have a job. Unlike you, I work full time, although on Fridays I'm like half. So, to really prep for this, and I've told my wife that too. I'm like, look, I could make a lot more money here. I don't make it there. So if you're trying to prepare for a show, you really have to take it like a job if you're doing some of these things like Austin's doing. And I just don't have the bandwidth for that. But one thing I will say about that you can learn from him is when you go on a show, this is my problem a lot, where someone asks a question and I go boom, 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 I hit highlights and then I'm out. Where he hits highlights, but then he goes a deep layer. And it's perfectly fine to do that. I mean, that's kind of what you're there for sometimes. And so for me, and I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to hit highlights for you. But so that's one aspect. When you go on a show, take your time and dig deep. If you've got that knowledge, people actually enjoy it. I enjoyed it as a viewer. What am I doing? I have a show on Fridays typically, and try to do a lot of legal stuff. And probably this week, I want to look at some of the Trump stuff that he's done. And we're going to go into some depth on the Ross Ulbricht. I know that, his release, there was a bunch of shit going out there. And I've started to dig into the appeals and some of those other items, which are somewhat fascinating. One quick thing there, Michael Knowles came out and he was trying to say, I don't lose any sleep with Ross being pardoned. Seems like, and then he did he said, by a preponderance of the evidence, the court has determined that he likely was the gun for hire in commissioning these crimes. And I freaked out because I'm like, preponderance of the evidence is a civil standard. How is this in a criminal trial? So I dug deeper into there, and he's not completely wrong, but he's not right at all. So I'll kind of break that down if you guys want to find out more about that this evening.
Hell yeah. Well, that's kind of like a good little tangent because we're definitely going to touch on the Ross stuff. I have a tab up for that. That's kind of ties into I have a handful of different things up to continue my case for a cautious optimism. Following up from my argument that I made on Tinfoil Hat, which you guys haven't seen yet. But if you watch the show, I've kind of already made it before. So nothing new. I kind of refined it a little bit more. But we're going to go more into it today. But let's read through. Let's finish up the total nigger death part of this topic. And we'll finish up with this article to get a little bit more information out. And I'll be keeping an eye on the story after this because I have a feeling we'll have more going forward. Here's Scoop. Video reveals aftermath of school shooting inspired by satanic accelerationism. This is from the homie Ken Silva. Headline: USA has obtained apparent footage of the aftermath of a shooting Wednesday at Antioch High School in the Nashville area, where a 17-year-old black student named Solomon Henderson allegedly opened fire, killing a female student and wounding one other before killing himself. The footage was provided by online researcher BX, who has provided Headline USA with reliable information in the past. BX also provided to this publication with Henderson's Manifesto, which indicates that he was linked to satanic cults as well as other high school shooters interested in the same. The footage is mostly a black screen due to the camera being on the floor. Commotion can be heard in the background. It says, he tried to shoot me too, a female student can be heard saying. He heard another shot. This is the same fucking kid who brought a box cutter, a male is later heard. At the very end of the video, a Nashville Metro police officer picks up the phone before turning it off. BX said she believes Wednesday's shooting stemmed from the latest mutation of a disturbing online trend known as accelerationism, the ideology that seeks to topple Western institutions to usher in a new dark age. BX released a video on the subject last week. This is part 5, Total Human Death. We're not going to watch this here. If you want me, you could go find it on her page, or you could probably find it on Headline USA or wherever. But go check that out. A new breed of satanic accelerationist dominates the online terrorism landscape, she said, explaining the new wave of satanic cults aims to lure in maladjusted teenagers and groom them to commit acts of terrorism, pedophilia, and other crimes. That certainly appears to be the case with Henderson, whose manifesto repeatedly references accelerationism. Additionally, Henderson apparently operated the Twitter X account @Groidcell, which is linked to the Satanic 764 pedophile network. I do want to real quick mention, go back to the accelerationism. I will say, I don't know if we brought up any of the screenshots of it, because as I mentioned earlier, it's been taken down from a bunch of places. There was a bunch of them, but there were definitely ones. I was looking at ones yesterday where he was mentioning over and over and over again accelerationism. So, and in the context that a researcher like me would probably mention it. So it was kind of weird. I mean, not in that exact context, but the implying he meant it in the same way is what I mean. Anyways, the shooter's manifesto also claimed that he had connections with other school shooters, including 15-year-old Natalie Rupnow, who opened fire during a study hall last month. Lately, I've been inspired by other young attackers around my age, such as Colt Gray, Saintress, Samantha Rupnow, Arda Kosuktium, that's a weird name, I probably did not say that right, Morad Haderi, and Dylan Butler, the shooter's manifesto states. Oh, he's mentioned Dylan at a certain earlier point. I thought maybe he meant like Klebold from Columbine. Nope, he meant that guy. I have connections with some of them only loosely via online messaging platforms. All right. So in the manifesto itself, he says he has, had contact with these individuals. His claim about Rupnow appears to be accurate, as Rupnow's Twitter/X account did follow Henderson's @Groidcell account, a fact uncovered last month by BX. BX further noted that some of Henderson's manifesto contains phrases lifted from a terroristic manual entitled Hard Reset that's available on Telegram, a series of decentralized Telegram chat groups that promote accelerationism. That is interesting that she said I just wanted to zone in on a fact uncovered last month by BX that Rupnow was connected to Groidcell.
Well, remember, she said she reported it to the Wisconsin police. I don't know that she said in there that she had uncovered him, or she just reported the Groidcell. So I'm still confused on the.
I think there'll probably be more. I mean, I don't know how we know that he is Groidcell, but assuming that he is Groidcell, she apparently is already covering this a month, so before the shooting even happened. So it looks like he was already, the @Groidcell account was already kind of in the mix of stuff she was looking into. So she was likely looking into this person around the time this happened. I think I already read that. Okay, the rest of the manifesto is laden with racist and anti-Semitic content. Henderson said he was inspired by a slew of online political personalities, from right-wing personalities such as Candace Owens, Ethan Ralph, and Nick Fuentes, to left streamers such as Destiny and Hassan Piker. Candace Owens has influenced me above all each time. I read that earlier. BX cautioned that the inclusion of mainstream political pundits was likely intended to sow public discord in the aftermath of the shooting. Liberals will likely blame people like Owens and Fuentes instead of focusing on the underlying issue. Accelerationists are grooming teenagers to commit acts of terrorism. So that is like, yes, after every one of these shootings, the left always goes, oh, he's followed the right, and the left goes, or the right goes, oh no, he followed the left. Like, oh, he's a lefty. Oh, he's a right. Like that's the thing he's playing off of here. Additionally, Henderson's manifesto references the satanic cult Order of Nine Angles, as well as its offshoot 764, if only to make fun of these groups. He said he's not an O9A member because it only scares your 1980s boomer Christians. Meanwhile, police chief John Drake said the shooter confronted by 16-year-old female student in the cafeteria and opened fire, killing her. Drake said police are looking into a motive and whether students who were shot were targeted. All right, we're almost there. Satan's threat to Western society. According to the Justice Department, satanic accelerationist groups such as the Order of the Nine Angles, 764, and their various offshoots have a terroristic goal. They want to corrupt the youth, which will accelerate the collapse of Western society. In recent months, the DOJ has begun to treat satanic accelerationist groups as gangs, warning the public of the threat they pose to teenagers in particular. Last month, after 764 member Richard Rabid Densmore was sentenced Thursday to 30 years imprisonment for sexually exploiting a child, the DOJ warned the public that this case represents a new and depraved threat against our kids. Members of 764 gain notoriety by systematically targeting, grooming, and extorting victims through online social media platforms. Members demand their victims engage in and share media of self-mutilation, sexual acts, harm to animals, acts of random violence, suicide, and murder, all for the purpose of accelerating chaos and disrupting society and the world order, the DOJ said last month in a press release.
Other than the motive, that's just a Laney edit. I mean,
yeah, right. Yeah, no, we're the real accelerationists now. Before that headline, USA revealed that the Order of Nine Angles was likely behind the arson of 3 African-American Baptist churches in 2019. Along with being known for Satanism, O9A has been in the news in recent years due to its links to right-wing extremism. O9A fomented several neo-Nazi terrorist plots over the last several years, and O9A linked neo-Nazi participated in the 2017 Charlottesville Unite the Right rally, and one of the network's leaders, Joshua Caleb Sutter, the one who started the above-mentioned Temple of Blood, was revealed to be a longtime FBI informant. According to the DOJ, the 764 group was an offshoot of O9A. The 764 cult represents a radical shift in the group to specifically target children and use CP and videos depicting animal cruelty, self-harm, and other acts of violence to accelerate chaos in society, the DOJ said last year. All right, that's the end of it. So I think we're all pretty up to date. I mean, I'm sure there's probably other information out there that we haven't covered. But yes, a lot of shit there. Any thoughts so far? I threw a lot at you there, but there were bits in there that corroborated some of the stuff we were talking about earlier. So I do also, real quick, I do want to remind you guys, if you do want to get more up to date on O9A/764, I have a playlist on that very topic. So you can go check that out, and that's pretty much all with Ken Silva and BX too, and I believe William Ramsey too as well. We covered an episode. So. Any thoughts, Tyler? I think we're gonna, next topic will be far more in your realm.
I kind of made them as we went through there. Once again, I want to see the proof of the connection to this guy. This makes a lot of sense, and I know JD Cashless, Ken Silva, JD Cashless on Twitter does good work. So nothing.
Yeah. And then Gray Pilled says, you read my comment. I don't know, Jules, the fuck are you talking about? Adam often walked so Groid Cell could run. Northside says the research seems fine, but I don't trust BX. Well, that's your prerogative, dude. I like BX. She's cool. Trust no one. Verify everything. That's what you should do. So was that the other guy who got arrested last week, Xerox? I don't know. All right. Let's go ahead and watch this clip right here. This, I think, is going to set the perfect tone for the next topic I would like to kind of get into.
My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier. I'm pleased to say that as of yesterday, one day before I assumed office, the hostages in the Middle East are coming back home to their families.
All right, man, that's obviously all of it. This is from his inauguration speech. This seems to be the note that he's coming in on. It's kind of like anyone who's watched Game of Thrones, or I guess the newer the House of the Dragon. It's kind of like every one of these kings always has a surname of what they want to be known for. Like, I want to be known as a conqueror, as a this or that. I'm Aegon the Conqueror or whatever. And it seems that Trump has dubbed himself as the peacemaker. So I think that, hey, that's something. Any thoughts on this note, and just cautious optimism in general, Tyler?
Cautious optimism. The Israel thing is always kind of underlined, right? And what are they going to mix up that's going to get us in problems as the big boy, bad boy defender around the world? They're the nerd out there causing trouble, and they always have their big boy behind them to come and save their ass. So they'll do whatever they want. So that's always the problem. I noticed that Kamala did not want to stand up. Of course, for this, but she did reluctantly. The hostages coming home, to me, I'm not even been diving into that because it's just going to be a propaganda war at this point. They look too well fed, though, to have too much, I don't want to say sympathy, but I mean, I don't know what the whole deal is there. But as far as the wars go, since he's labeled himself this, now Trump is someone who has no problem saying something and then going, a different direction. But this has been a big deal. And you are seeing some of the things he's coming to power doing. I'm more optimistic for a lot of this. One of those being he's a lame duck president, but he had this gap in between. So he has things he wants to prove. And he's going to be laying the groundwork for his legacy, which is JD Vance coming through, wants him to get reelected, but he is more willing to trounce JD Vance's chance. I think George H.W. Bush came in, no new taxes, and then he screwed over, what was his name, his vice president, and he didn't want to. So, he's stepping on tax, he's trying to be careful, but he's screwing him over. I don't think Trump cares about what JD Vance will do, and if JD Vance is smart, he's just going to come into it on his own. So I think Trump is going to be released in a different way than a lame duck normally would. I don't know.
Yeah. And I went into on a Tripoli show, I kind of went into with the peace deal and the specifics. And this is all stuff that I just kind of am parroting Dave DeCamp on, and just kind of the extent to which what an L this really was for Israel. I mean, even though there are giant asterisks beside this, and then you add in the TikTok thing and other stuff, I think you start really realizing, like, well, I mean, I don't know, something's going on. I mean, maybe at the very least, I think, maybe there's, optimism to be had in the sense that even if you don't believe them, that the very fact that they are scrambling to provide an image of this, you know what I mean? So like we're the peacemakers, we're coming in, we're fixing things, and have actually done a lot of stuff. As I mentioned earlier in the show, like almost all of these big things, like the JFK files at the beginning, they actually haven't happened yet. So it's like all of these have asterisks next to them. So we're getting thrown all these good things at us. And then like they all have asterisks next to them. So essentially like, it could actually turn out a different way. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know what the end thing will be and how many of these actually turn out for the better. But I just think at the very least we're dealing with a good signal here. And as good of a signal can be, here's Ross Ulbricht. Here's his statement upon returning home.
Last night, Donald Trump granted me a full pardon. I was doing life without parole, and I was locked up for more than 11 years. But he let me out. I'm a free man now. So let it be known that Donald Trump is a man of his word. Thank you so much, President Trump, for giving me this amazing blessing. I'm so grateful to have my life back, to have my future back, to have this second chance. This is such an important moment for me and for my whole family. It's an important moment for everybody who's been working for this for years. This is a victory, and it's your victory too. And this is an important moment for everybody, everywhere, who loves freedom and who cares about second chances. So it feels amazing to be free, to say the least. It's overwhelming, and for the next however long we need, I'm going to be with my family so that we can reunite and be whole again and heal. But there's a lot to talk about, and I look forward to re-engaging with the free world. And so once I'm feeling up to it, we'll talk again.
How long, Ross? How long till you go on podcast? How long?
That's exactly. I was like, that was a shout out to Joe Rogan. Just give me 10 minutes. Okay?
Yeah, I'm coming. Just give me a minute. Just give me just a day or two. Go to knock out some of the old faithfuls, right? And then I'll get out of my system and be back at it. So good stuff. We got Ross Ulbricht out. I mean, to be fair, I will say, while it's going to sound fucked up, it is literally one person. In the scope of an entire country, but still cool. Like still like it's a good signal. Once again, it's a signal. So like, hey, hey, this is a good look. And then as has been already commented everywhere, this has covered this. If you read the letter, which I don't have the letter, there's not really any need to cover it. The key thing is he called the people who put Ross in jail as scum. And I mean the tone of the letter in general was very condemning of the people and lauding him and the libertarian movement. So all in all, just about as good as you can fucking get. I mean, when do you ever get a fucking a pardon like this on something that's like, generally the establishment would agree, like, hey, we don't like this, but maybe you can make an argument like, okay, but we went overboard. No, just straight up like these people are fucking disgusting people, and essentially very much a great signal for libertarianism, essentially in general. So classy stuff. I'm definitely feeling a little hopeful. And here's another one with Dave DeCamp. Good sign. Pro-Israel Republicans alarmed over Trump's Defense Department appointee. Michael Domino, tapped as Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East, has said that the U.S. has minimal to non-existent vital interest in the region.
Yeah.
Which I guess that's been a big thing recently, which a lot of people don't like this fucking guy and want this guy out for, it seems, those reasons. So.
Yeah, Mark Levin, right-wing Jew, really was... This guy can't be in there, and you're like, sweet, seems like the right guy to me. Just to go back on the Ross Ulbricht thing real quick. The scum comment was interesting to me because you start looking at the sentencing, which I'll try to break down a little bit more later. But just a comment. This is from the judge during sentencing. Excuse me. He talked about his ambiguity of drug distribution. Then she puts, no drug dealer from the Bronx selling meth or heroin or crack has ever made these kind of arguments to the court. It is a privileged argument. It is an argument from one of privilege, and kind of accentuating that he's this white guy, and we're going to sentence him stronger. I think there was a plea offer about 10 years, and he didn't take it. He went to trial regardless, and obviously got 2 life sentences plus 40 years. Even the pre-sentencing guideline was a minimum of 20, which they said, this is kind of the recommendation, and they just they wanted much more, which is crazy. I mean, for what he was actually had done. So scum part particularly appropriate for Trump on that. Oh, I'd say one more thing about libertarians. I did a breakdown of Reason Magazine, their vote for the election, all their staff and stuff, and there was one person that was going to vote for Trump. Some wanted to write in Nikki Haley. It was Kamala. It was RFK. It was nobody, and only one for Trump. And they did talk about Ross, but I'm like, libertarian, and then Chase, obviously. And they're like, oh, libertarians don't matter, but I'm going to vote for Chase. And I'm like, you actually have a chance. Ross is a big deal. To vote for Trump right now is to literally give yourself a chance to set one person free that you think is important in the libertarian world, and they didn't do it. And then they're complaining on day one that Trump hadn't kept his promise. And I'm like, hey, motherfucker, you didn't even vote for him. You could have been a part of this, and you didn't. I voted for Trump specifically for this. I felt like you said it's just one person. I get it, but how often do you get a chance to feel like you're part of setting one person free? And I didn't cry about it like Clint. Yeah, no, I didn't cry about it like Clint, but it's very impressive.
It's a precedent is what I'm saying.
Oh, precedent. Yes, I agree.
Because while it is yes, it is one person. And I said that earlier, so it is in a certain sense. And while it may not set a legal precedent, I think it kind of sets the tone of what the current political will is. And I think it signifies that hey, this isn't what we are anymore. At least not for now. I mean, maybe in the future we do go back to that's us. But at the very least, the current administration is making a signal that that's not us. And I think when you're at the point where people are getting pardoned for things, generally speaking, it's kind of somewhat of a recognition that something went wrong. Unless you're obviously dealing with a flat out case of nepotism or self-preservation or something. That's a different story, obviously.
Preemptive pardons.
Yeah, or the preemptive pardons. Obviously a different story. But people that you aren't connected with, that's obviously ideological. It's this is implying that hey, this is where we're at right now. This is not what we do to people. And
I think it also put in perspective what the Libertarian Party can do and should do, which is take specific things And then, Rittenhouse kind of did this. He came out against Trump, during the election about some gun issues. He's like, Ron Paul. And then he had a meeting and Trump said, here's what I'm going to do for you. And he changed his mind. It's like, that's the only thing the Libertarian Party can do. You can do little things like big things like set Ross free, but put your vote behind him to get little movements on certain areas that otherwise you're not going to get, Chase involved. So,
yeah. All right, here is, this kind of follows up with a similar tone of the one we just brought up. This is, I'm not going to read the whole article, but this is from Dave DeCamp again. It says Trump to put Steve Witkoff in charge of Iran negotiations. And it says Iran has signaled it's willing to negotiate a new nuclear deal. Now, Steve Witkoff, for those who aren't aware of who he is the head of President Trump's Middle East envoy. He is the one who recently essentially spearheaded the peace deal in Gaza. So, I mean, I think it's a good sign that now he is the guy that they're also putting in charge of Iran negotiations. So hopefully, maybe we're really it's not gonna be the future of what everyone thought, and all the goy warriors are fall in line to get ready to fight against the great evil of Iran. It seems that maybe that may not be our future. Any thoughts?
I think this goes to, if Trump wants to be the peacemaker, he's not going to be shotgun going to war. And the China, Iran, you start the false flags, every little deal is a big deal. And then the next thing you're involved because your mindset is going there and, kicking ass rather than, if I'm going to be a peace man, how does this really relate to me? So if that really is his mindset, he's going to be more skeptical on all those little things, hopefully, and not just quick to trigger. And yeah, I mean, Iran, come on.
Yeah. You there? Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. Did you?
Oh, okay. You just you stopped talking suddenly.
Oh, well, that's see, I'm not in my Austin mode where you dig deeper. I only
it was just weird. Your tone at the end of it sounded like you just stopped. So I was like, did he cut off? Like it didn't have that natural termination. Just not the natural termination point people usually have in speech. And then then I look at the screen, I didn't see you moving. And I'm always worried. But anyways, all right, this is the last article I'm going to go over with you, and then I'll tell you to get the fuck out of here so I can cover some OKC stuff.
I got work to do.
Yeah, you got work to do. Trump says he wants to work with China and Russia on denuclearization. Not going to read this whole article as well. I will read a few little excerpts from it because I'm going to do his words particularly. The president said that Putin liked the idea of cutting back on the number of nuclear weapons during conversations in his previous term. And then this is on Thursday at the Davos shit. He delivered a virtual address. He says, we were talking about denuclearization of our two countries, and China would have come along. China right now has a much smaller nuclear armament than us or field than us, but they're going to be catching up at some point. I will tell you that President Putin really liked the idea of cutting back on nuclear. And I think the rest of the world, we would have gotten them to follow, and China would have come along too. China also liked it. Tremendous amounts of money are being spent on nuclear, and the destructive capability is something that we don't even want to talk about. It's too depressing. In his address, Trump also called for an end of the war in Ukraine and said that efforts to secure a peace deal were now hopefully underway. It's important to get that done. That is an absolute killing field. Millions of soldiers are being killed. Nobody has seen anything like it since World War II, he said. So once again, more positive signals is what I'm seeing. So any thoughts before you get out of here? And also, you go ahead and let people know where they can find you. Yeah, you can get the fuck out of here.
I appreciate you having me this morning, Jose. My thoughts on, I think that's the appropriate way to go. It's like I deal with this in family law, and I'm telling the other party, the best thing is to try to work things out. But be careful. But, reach out, try to resolve issues without having to always go to court. Same idea here, try to have a friendly relationship. Friendly relationship doesn't mean you're not on edge still. And I think, we always will be. But, some people are going to say, oh, he's not having that strong hand and whatnot. So I think that's good. And it's hopeful once again. So we'll keep it there. Yeah, you can find me, Tyler Yankee on Twitter, LPR on Rumble, and podcast review. Go to Twitter. You'll see my link tree. You'll find everything. I usually do a show every Friday in the afternoon. So 3 Pacific, somewhere around that time. Count to your time zone, figure it out. So we'll go on live. But yeah, thanks once again for having me on. And You're doing good work in the mornings here. I
Oh
appreciate
yeah,
it.
brother. Thank you. Well, I'll let you go. I'll see you on Wednesday for Tower Gang. We'll see you then.
All right. Take care.
All right. See you, bud. All right. Bye. All right, guys. We're not done yet. Don't leave. Do not leave. Don't fucking leave. I'm going to go through at least one more thing with you. I have an article to cover with you guys, and maybe a thread as well, perhaps. I'm not sure. We'll see where we're at with time. In an hour and 15 minutes, I do have an appearance on Jeremy Ryan Slate's podcast to cover Oklahoma City bombing. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to try to cut too much in that. I want to do a little bit of other prep other than the prep that I do with you guys. But I figured, this would be a great opportunity for me to let you guys know that KennethTrynaDo.com is a thing. So you can go over to there. You're looking at it right now. I'm not going to scroll down because this is another opportunity to tell you guys about something. I fucked up and didn't do the thing you're supposed to do as an influencer or, content creator or whatever. Someone trying to leverage stuff. I should have. Recently, one of my videos was removed from YouTube. It was in my Oklahoma City bombing playlist. There was a video. You can probably find it in my audio stuff. But there was a video that was titled Kenneth Trying to Do Didn't Kill Himself. That was just the name of it. There was also a Terrence Yeaky Didn't Kill Himself. But for those who have been around since my OKC stuff, I did 8-part series with Richard Booth with a bonus episode with Ken Silva. And then there were other additional stuff that I threw in that playlist, for example, interviews with Steve Vassar, interview with Tanya Yeaky. But I also threw in extra little addendums of presentations that I threw together. One of which was the Terrence Yeaky Didn't Kill Himself one, because we did episode 7 in the series with Richard, we covered Yeaky. Episode 8, we covered the Trendic story. So there were complete episodes dedicated to both of them, but I wanted to add a little extra more, especially since I dug into them more and there was stuff that I felt like should be covered. And so that's what those two were. They were additional information. In the Yeaky one, the first half of the episode, I kind of examined the sources. I went through every source that kind of corroborated different parts of the story to kind of help, show kind of the credibility at hand. And then the second half of it, I played the second half of that episode, the Yeaky one. I played Tanya Yeaky's interview in 96, a radio interview. I attached that to it, so it's still there. That one still exists, pretty much everywhere. So you can go check that out. I thought that was good, kind of putting those two together. I thought it was a good presentation. And then the other one, the Kenneth Trying to Do one, the one that got taken down. Now I had written a piece on my Substack forever ago. I want to get back into writing pieces. This actually got published in Garrison Journal too, so that was cool. But I'd like to get back into writing at some point. I mean, maybe when we ever get to a point where, say the show's full time or something, then I'll have time to write as well. But either way, beside the point, I wrote a piece on the Kenneth story forever ago, and then I turned that into content, and I read the piece for the episode, and in the second half of the episode, I attached a presentation that Jesse, Kenneth's brother, provided. So it was like a two. But that got taken down. And their reasoning was for showing photos of essentially someone who committed self-harm. So essentially, YouTube took the official position that Kenneth Trying to Do killed himself, even though ironically the video was titled Kenneth Trying to Do Didn't Kill Himself, and removed the video because of concerns that it would propagate ideas of self-harm. So that's part of what motivated me to cover this today, to let you guys know, since you take away one thing, you're supposed to then be point it out and use that to kind of expand the message at large. Point being, as I should have, because this was a week or two ago, I've been really busy. I should have done the whole thing where you make a tweet and be oh, look, I'm being censored, blah, blah. Never did that. This is the first time I've even mentioned anybody. But yeah, they took down my Kenneth episode. Luckily, I didn't get a strike because I guess they were they sent me a follow-up message. They're are you doing okay? Do you need help? They're worried I'm going to off myself or something. But yes, that got taken away. So that's part of why I'm not scrolling down right now too, because that is a photo. You can see the top part of his head, but that is a photo of the corpse with very obvious damage, which that's another thing of oh, you removed it for that. Oh, well, the reason why it's so graphic is because it's a fucking murder. But anyways, this is KennethTrynaDo.com. You can go here. This is got a lot of great stuff for, Kenneth Trying to Do stuff, related stuff. So you can go to information and it has a lot of the articles here. Today, I figured we'd cover a Will Grigg article. This is from 2017. PatCon, Oklahoma City, and Jesse Trendu's Lonely Crusade for Justice. So I figured we'd cover that today, an old Will Grigg episode. There's other stuff in here. There's videos that you can watch. So if you're looking for resources for anything related to Kenneth Trendu, this is the place to go. I also have a Yiki thread that maybe I'll read. That one shouldn't take too long. I don't think this Greg one will take too long either. So, but I just wanted to let you guys know this site exists, KennethTrendu.com. So it's easy to remember, KennethTrendu.com. So great resource. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and get into this. As PatCon, Oklahoma City, and Jesse Trendu's Lonely Crusade for Justice by Will Grigg. Before you can do it, I'm going to pop into the chat, make sure there's nothing from y'all before I get sucked into that. Okay, cool. No questions for me at least. So cool. Oh, never mind. I got Alan saying, Yiki is what brought me here. Gave you so much credibility. Thank you, Alan. Well, I will probably be talking about it again here soon. So don't forget to ask JRS about Scientology. Honestly, probably won't. I don't really see any reason to do so. He's interviewing me. That'd be weird. And make it a little bit awkward. And I'm a little more focused on what I'm doing today. So I don't know. I mean, if it comes up, it comes up. If it somehow enters the conversation, but I'm definitely not forcing that. Anyways, here we go. Back to it. His name used to be Don Jarrett. Longtime federal asset John Matthews told FBI Special Agent Adam Quirk during a July 9th phone call. By the way, we're talking about PatCon here. There is an article that I do want to cover at some point. I'm just letting you guys know. I have it saved. I've been meaning to for a long time. So I'm kind of glad we're actually covering this because I don't think we've ever on these morning dumps really gone too deep into PatCon or how the information of PatCon came out. So I have an art. So this will be a good preamble to the other article. So in the future, we'll probably cover that. But I have an article that really breaks down how information was manipulated in the revelation of PatCon. So for those who are super familiar with OKC information, you'll know that PatCon was released essentially in an expose, or we found out about PatCon through Jesse Trendu's work. It was supposed to be exposed in like a new big tell-all Newsweek piece, and then that fell apart through editor shenanigans. They essentially, scrapped all the parts that really caused any problem for the CIA or not CIA, but for the FBI, and stuck around the stuff that was more like acceptable. So it was essentially like kind of like a standard limited hangout. There's a lot of stuff in there that they left. They were like, oh my God, that's crazy. But it was like stuff that's not really like the juicy stuff. They cut all the juicy stuff. So we'll cover that at some point. But with that said, I'm just giving you guys to let you know if that does get mentioned. All right. So that's who this Matthews guy is. He's the one who actually helped Jesse kind of drop the ball or drop all the information on PatCon, because Matthews was actually an operative in PatCon. Anyways, Matthews was concerned that he would have to testify in a lawsuit filed by Salt Lake City attorney Jesse Trendu, seeking the release of long-concealed videotapes from the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing. Trendu believes that the suppressed tapes would help identify John Doe 2, a dark-haired, heavy-set man seen by dozens of people in the company of Timothy McVeigh on the day of the bombing. John Doe 2 remains at large, and the FBI is perversely determined to protect him. For reasons that will be explained anon, Trendu is convinced that learning his identity is necessary in order to obtain a measure of justice on behalf of his late brother Kenneth, who was killed while in federal custody shortly after the bombing. Here's a photo of the guy, John Matthews. Matthews was scheduled to testify during a federal court hearing in Salt Lake City last July. On the basis of what he had told Trendu, Matthews was expected to describe how the FBI was closely monitoring McVeigh in the hours leading up to the bombing. The FBI continues to insist, despite abundant evidence to the contrary, that there was no advance warning of the OKC terrorist attack, and that John Doe 2 and the others unknown referred to in Timothy McVeigh's indictment do not exist. Trendu maintains that there is a strong possibility that the long-suppressed video recordings capture McVeigh in the company of a second person who would be identifiable as an FBI undercover operative. During the July 9th phone call with Matthews, Mr. Jarrett told the jittery federal informant to avoid testifying if he could, and to perjure himself if he must. He was also instructed to call Special Agent Quirk, who eagerly reinforced that advice. I ain't going, and I ain't saying nothing unless somebody issues me a subpoena, Matthews told Quirk, according to a transcript obtained by Trandu. Even if they haul my ass to Salt Lake City, I'ma sit there on the stand and say I don't recall anything. That's fine, was Quirk's approving reply to Matthews' announced intent to commit perjury. In a conversation on the following day, Matthews reiterated his determination to avoid a subpoena. Well, yeah, and I mean, worst case scenario, even if you testified, you can say you have nothing to say, advised Quirk. Matthews, eager to please a high-ranking officer of the American Cheka, suggested that he might take a trip in order to avoid receiving a subpoena. That's right, gloated Quirk. Fuck him, right? Here's a photo of that nerd, FBI special agent Quirk. There's a photo of him. It was during the second conversation with Quirk that Matthews explicitly mentioned his role as an undercover operative in an FBI initiative called PACON, or Patriot Conspiracy. This was a long-term provocation campaign in which the Bureau sought to infiltrate and incite the militia and evangelical Christians to violence so the DOJ could crush them, explains Trandu. The man Matthews had known as Don Jarrett had been his FBI handler, and apparently still is, given the deference to him shown by Matthews. Now that the regime has largely shifted its domestic focus from Muslims back to sovereign citizens, Jarrett is probably busy orchestrating Homeland Security theater operations involving the radical right. By the way, just so if you guys aren't aware, Will Grigg was basically Scott Horton's mentor, and this was written in 2014. So just so you guys know, this isn't new. This is, like 11 years old, and Will Grigg's actually dead. So just so you guys know. So R.I.P. Thanks for what you've contributed to the movement. Just so you guys know, just for context, just makes sense when they're referring to like who's what and where at when time, and anyways, also just kind of like a good little piece of information, especially if you didn't know that. That's kind of he's got a little piece of history that he how do I put this? A tradition, I guess, of passing down info. Like, for example, like Richard passed this info down to me, I don't think he got that info from Scott. They kind of worked together on all this stuff, and, and then you have Scott, who was a pupil of Grigg. So it just kind of keeps on, I don't know, just kind of the circle of life, I guess. Honestly. All right. All right, it was during the second conversation explicitly mentions role. All right, never mind. Assuming that Don Jarrett is still the name of Matthews' former handler, he may currently be working as an independent insurance professional in Florida. According to his Vita, Jarrett retired from the FBI in 1998, becoming an insurance investigator and security consultant for the NFL. It's not clear how he wound out in Afghanistan last year. A May 1st, 2013 email to Matthews reported that he was in Afghanistan, that he expected to leave at the end of June. All right, well, that's weird. So then he was an insurance investigator, then he ended up in Afghanistan. I guess he could have gone to the reserves or something. I don't know. Weird though. It's odd to go from being that's not usually the common career path. It's almost like a backward step going from the feds to the military. It's not, you hear tell of people going from the military into the feds, but you don't really hear a lot of people going from the feds into the military. So I don't know. It's weird that he ended up in Afghanistan, because it does kind of imply that he still was operational, But anyways, using his last known email address, I sent Jarrett a number of questions to which he has not replied. Given PatCon's history, the chances are pretty good that wherever Jarrett finds himself, bad things are being done to innocent people. Ruby Ridge was a PatCon operation, Trendy has pointed out. Waco was a PatCon operation, and so too, I believe, was the Oklahoma City bombing. The same is probably true of the little-remembered October 1995 sequel to the OKC bombing, the derailment of the Sunset Limited, and Amtrak. Why do I keep Amtrak? I keep wanting to call it Amtrak for some reason. Train carrying 248 passengers. Sleeping car attendant Mitchell Bates was killed, and 78 others were injured when 4 of the train's 12 cars careened off a 30-foot trestle. A rail joint bar supporting a critical section of the track had been removed by a saboteur who also knew how to short-circuit sensors that would have alerted the Amtrak engineer of trouble on the tracks ahead. Typewritten notes on both sides of the track expressed outrage over the familiar litany of federal crimes and claimed responsibility on behalf of a group calling itself Sons of Gestapo. I actually remember this. This was in the... what did I read this in? I think this was in Hoffman's book. Yeah, this is wild. Publication of the SOG Manifesto caused many foreheads to crease in puzzlement. This was a right-wing terrorist group so obscure that its existence was unknown even to Morris Dees and his ever-vigilant comrades, who were sensitive to every tremor of right-wing extremism occurring everywhere in the Soyuz. Obviously, the key takeaway here, which he might say a little more explicitly here in a second, this manifesto, from my recollection of it, it was... how do I put it? It's one of those manifestos where you look at it and you go, this is bullshit. This shit glows. Now, does that mean it was a Fed shit? No, but it glue. I mean, you know what I mean. You've seen the manifestos where you're like, this doesn't look like this dude wrote it. I mean, something else is going on here. Anyways, SOG was unknown prior to the derailment and hasn't been heard from since. The FBI that has continued to investigate the derailment for the past, they insist it's in continuing. For the past 7 years, Victor Hooper, an electrical engineer from Anaheim, California, has been telling anybody in the Bureau who will listen that he knows who carried out the attack and why it was done. That derailment was carried out by some of the people who helped McVeigh build the bomb for Oklahoma City. Hooper insisted during a telephone interview with me. All right, well, that's interesting. He claims to have known at least 2 of them as neighbors in Anaheim, where they became involved in drug trafficking as part of a neo-Nazi criminal syndicate. That John Doe 2 is actually a young man he has known since childhood. As Hooper tells the story, the man he identifies as John Doe 2 and whose identity is known to the FBI worked closely with Kingman, Arizona resident Michael Fortier, who was involved in the OKC bombing plot and spent 10 years in prison after agreeing to testify against McVeigh. According to Hooper, John Doe 2 told him that McVeigh was trained in sabotage and taught him how to derail a train. Huh. I will let you guys know ahead of time that this article I just picked out at random from KennethTrader.com. I was actually was wanting to go into Kenneth's death. This is more about Jesse's story, obviously after Kenneth's death, because Kenneth is what brought him into it. This is more about Jesse's crusade with PatCon and this and that. So this isn't even exactly the angle I want to, but it's still interesting. So I'm glad we're covering it. I don't think I've heard this one before, or I don't recall. And now that I'm looking at Fortier in this photo, it's like, okay, I can kind of see it. All right. I mean, I'm not saying he is. I think there are reasons to believe why he would. I forget where he was supposedly at during the time, but I don't know. Maybe that's something I might have to bring up when I talk to Booth or something next time, because how can we rule him out? Because it is a weird one. I've never really thought deeply about Fortier, if he could have had a role. But anyways, following the bombing and publication of a composite sketch of John Doe 2, FBI agents descended on Kingman en masse. Hooper claims that Doe and a handful of co-conspirators who originally called themselves Kings of Kings before adopting the moniker Sons of Gestapo staged the Amtrak attack as a diversion, working in cooperation with another, longer-established neo-Nazi group. I heard these guys talking about derailing a train, but at that time, I didn't take it seriously, Hooper told me. For years, I've been trying to get the FBI to act on this, and I've been told that the investigation is still open, but they're not doing anything about this. They moved heaven and earth to get Osama bin Laden, but their investigation of John Doe 2 has been lackluster at best. Why are they denying the testimony of 20 witnesses who saw McVeigh with another John Doe and saying that John Doe 2 didn't exist? The FBI says that they've investigated the case and they've planted agents around the people involved in the train derailment, Hooper continued, but it's been nearly 20 years now and they've not done anything about it. During his conversation with me, Hooper made it clear that he doesn't hold Jesse Trento in particularly high esteem. However, they emphatically agree the FBI knows the identity of John Doe 2 and continues to protect him. In a motion asking Federal District Judge Clark Waddops to hold the FBI in contempt of court, Trento rules out that in 1995, Jarrett was involved in the Kingman, Arizona branch of the OKC bombing investigation. He points out, for some reason I felt like I said ruled out, so I just want to clarify that. I'm not sure if I did or not. At the time, he was involved with the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force in Phoenix, which was obsessively focused on right-wing terrorism. That is interesting that Jared was running the task force in Phoenix around the same time our old ARA boys were... Well, actually, I don't know if that's around the time that we're... Either way, I forget the timeline, so actually take that back a little bit. But either way, there was a big part of the story, especially prior to kind of the lead up that finds itself in Kingman, Arizona. Like there's a big part of that. There's a large part of the movement originated from there. But anyways, the FBI poured a huge amount of resources into the Amtrak derailment investigation, which styled Operation Spit Rail. As is nearly always the case, the operation was either a huge failure as an investigation or a hugely successful effort to avoid solving the crime. Trendu learned as much when he was contacted by a man named Victor Hooper, who claimed to have information about both the bombing and the Palo Verde train derailment that occurred in Arizona shortly after the bombing. Hooper told Trendu the derailment was done to distract the FBI from the Arizona part of the bombing investigation. Oh, okay. During a conversation with Matthews in 2013, Trendu recounted what Hooper had told him. I'll be honest, so far I'm struggling. I have a lot of this Hooper information and stuff I haven't heard before, so I wouldn't be surprised if I'm just throwing out there. I wouldn't be surprised if this is someone that if I brought on Richard, that he then goes on and like, here's the X, Y, Z, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3 of why you shouldn't buy this guy. But I'm just reading this reporting so you guys know this is out there. I'm just saying be cautious of some of this information because this is all stuff that a lot of this stuff is stuff I haven't heard elsewhere. Or I don't really have reason to believe. I'm kind of like, where is this coming from? Anyways, in a short time later, Jared contacted Trendu to tell him the derailment case was still open. The derailment had in fact caused resources to be shifted away from the Arizona portion of the bombing investigation, that Jared himself was transferred from the bombing investigation to the derailment case. So that kind of, okay. Even more importantly, Jared demanded that Trendu keep the Hooper information confidential because Hooper knew things about how the derailment was carried out that only the perpetrators would have known, and that he, Jared, or others from the FBI would follow up with Hooper. By follow-up, Trendu understood Jared probably meant shut down. This can mean witness tampering, as in the case of John Matthews. It can mean protecting the identity of key undercover operatives, such as John Doe 2. In the case of Kenneth Trendu, it meant killing someone who had been misidentified as an FBI asset with critical knowledge of the Bureau's role in the OKC bombing plot. For the better part of 2 decades, Trendu has tenaciously pursued the truth about the murder of his brother Kenneth while in federal custody. All right, cool. We're getting into it now. On parole after serving prison time for bank robbery, Kenneth was detained in San Diego for a supposed parole violation and transported to the federal transfer facility in Oklahoma City shortly after the bombing. His body was found, in quotes, hanging in its cell on August 21st. In body type, facial features, age, and even criminal record, Kenneth was a near twin of Richard Lee Guthrie, a bank robber who was already in federal custody. And I can corroborate that. I've seen both photos of both. It is true. Guthrie had been involved in a gang called the ARA, the Aryan Republican Army, that staged bank robberies to fund domestic terrorism, including, apparently, the OKC bombing. Along with McVeigh, members of the ARA were frequent guests at a white supremacist commune in Oklahoma called Elohim City, which was overrun by government undercover operatives. German national Andres Strassmeyer, Klan activist Dennis Mahon, Robert Millar, and former OKC socialite turned ATF asset Carol Howe. The feds who detained Kenneth Trendu and beat him to death thought they were disposing of Guthrie, who knew enough of the government's role in the OKC bombing to be troublesome. Not long after Kenneth was murdered, Guthrie fell victim to his own oddly staged, in quotes, suicide. This would have tied up some critical loose ends if Kenneth's family hadn't found a dangling thread and pulled on it as hard as they could. By the time Kenneth's mother, Wilma, was informed of his death, the crime scene was sanitized and the body prepared for cremation. So, to repeat that, this is when the mom had been notified, the crime scene was sanitized, already been cleaned down, literally sanitized, literally cleaned. And the body was, they were preparing it for cremation. They were trying to get it cremated. And it's a big part of the story. Maybe they'll go into it. They literally tried to contact the family in multiple different ways to get them to cremate. And they even tried to go through the medical examiner, is that what it's called? And get him to sign off on it. He was like, no, you got to contact the family. So they were trying to get rid of the body. And they sanitized the crime scene before there was any sort of forensics that were able to be done there. Through her shock and bereavement, Wilma Trenadu had the clarity of mind to demand that her son's body be preserved for a funeral. As Wilma and older brother Jesse were finally allowed to see Kenneth's mortal remains, they were further afflicted by the company of Michael Hood, regional counselor for the Bureau of Prisons. As Jesse later recalled the conversation, the suitably named Hood issued a singularly unsubtle warning. The Bureau of Prisons, the FBI, and the U.S. Attorney's Office were one big Justice Department. Jesse was astute enough to understand the import of that remark and brave enough to treat it with the contempt it deserved. His resolution hardened to fury when he and his mother peeled away several layers of crudely applied makeup and examined the condition of Kenneth's body. My brother had been so badly beaten that I personally saw several mourners leave the viewing to vomit in the parking lot, Jesse wrote in an August 30th, 1995 letter to the Bureau of Prisons that pulsated with tightly controlled rage. Anyone seeing my brother's battered body with his bruised and lacerated forehead, throat cut, and blue-black knuckles would not have concluded that his death was either easy or a suicide. Bear in mind, this man supposedly hung himself. Kenneth had committed crimes in his life and made his full atonement of mistakes. By the time of his abduction, he was the married, honestly employed father of a young child. Finding himself the hopeless captive of the most despicable human beings defiling the earth, Kenneth defiantly chose to die on his own terms, thereby leaving behind evidence that his death was an act of state-sponsored murder rather than despairing suicide. I gotta say, this is actually my first time reading a Will Grigg article, and I'm actually getting like goosebumps and like getting like feeling the anger that was written with this. This is good stuff. Good, great writing. If you hear me up there, Will, good shit. I regret that I hadn't looked into it earlier. All right. Anyways, had my brother been less of a man, your guards would have been able to kill him without inflicting so much injury to his body. Jesse pointed out in his letter to the BOP, had that occurred, Kenny's family would forever be guilt-ridden over his death. Each of us would have lived with the pain of thinking that Kenneth took his own life and that we had somehow failed him. By making the fight he did for his life, Kenneth saved us that pain, and God bless it for doing so. Now, I wanted to throw this out here real quick. If you guys haven't seen the photos of the body, you probably should. You can check that out my Substack. I believe it's No Way Jose 2020 there. I have photos up on my article that I wrote. I mean, you probably can look them up online. But once you see the photos, like, there's no denying, like, this man didn't hang himself. Like, I mean, the only way you could believe that he hung himself is if he was like literally somehow had a bladed stuff, was cutting himself up and was beating himself against the wall or something, like literally attacking himself, because there was a ridiculous amount of degree to which the body was fucked up. So, I mean, I don't know. I recommend checking out the photos. In 2001, a federal judge ruled that the FBI had lied about the circumstances of Kenneth Trendu's death and had destroyed vital evidence in the case. The family received $1.1 million in damages, $250,000 of which was set aside as a reward for information leading to the prosecution and conviction of Kenneth's murderers. Jesse Trendu has continued to pursue civil action against the FBI, beginning with his demand to see the suppressed video footage of the bombing. The Bureau, displaying the resourcefulness of inveterate liars with unlimited funds, has employed every dilatory and diversionary tactic it can conjure, including the, I don't know why I fucked up that word, including the remarkable excuse that the recordings are lost somewhere in the trackless depths of the agency's evidence from the OKC bombing investigation. Today, November 13th, so like 11 years ago, Trendu was in court seeking to have the Bureau held in contempt and asking for the appointment of a special master to oversee the FBI's compliance with the court orders, particularly relating to the allegations of witness tampering and with the plaintiff's Freedom of Information Act requests. While acknowledging the agency's misbehavior and chiding them for it, Judge Wadops declined to sanction the Bureau. That limp rebuke prompted a protest from the FBI's attorney, Catherine Weyer, who indignantly insisted that the matter was closed because the Bureau had investigated itself and found no wrongdoing. In 2007, shortly after filing his FOIA request for the OKC bombing videos, Jesse Trendu, contacted by convicted co-conspirator Terry Nichols, who was serving a life sentence for his role in the bombing and cannot be tried again on capital charges. With Trendu's assistance, Nichols filed a deposition in Salt Lake City federal court. In that sworn statement, Nichols claimed that McVeigh, who allegedly had been recruited as an undercover intelligence agent asset while in the Army, had been working under the supervision of Larry Potts, the same FBI officials who wrote the murderous Rules of Engagement at Ruby Ridge and later supervised the annihilation of the Branch Davidians at Mount Carmel. Texas. Sorry. Coordinating the OKC operation was a deputy attorney general named Eric Holder, who later played an important role in covering up the circumstances of Kenneth Trendu's death. Trendu's legal crusade began as an act of filial loyalty. It has become a struggle to expose the truth about the FBI's ongoing campaign of surveillance, infiltration, provocation, and political murder. The reason the FBI doesn't want that tape released is that one of the people getting out of that truck on the morning of April 1995 was working for the FBI, Trendu said in an interview with Lou Rockwell. The FBI had, I now know, at least 5 or 6 undercover operatives linked in with McVeigh at Elohim City. What I don't know is the motivation behind the bombing. What is not clear is whether it was a sting operation gone bad, that the plan was to stop it, but the FBI failed, or else they wanted it to happen, as horrible as that sounds. It's clear that they facilitated the bombing directly or indirectly. It's clear that they didn't stop it. As is so often the case, the best defense the regime can make on its behalf is to plead murderous incompetence in the best Soviet-style tradition of bureaucratic privilege. Those most deeply implicated in the crime have been abundantly rewarded. Today, Larry Potts enjoys a well-compensated sinecure as a vice president with ambiguous duties for the Scientific Games Corporation. Eric Holder, who reinstated the OKC-inspired domestic terrorism task force in January of this year, is stepping down as Attorney General in anticipation of an even more lucrative reward. John Doe 2 and his associates remain at large, as does Mr. Jared and countless other members of the FBI's merry troupe of Homeland Security theater players. We'll be hearing from them again. It is kind of funny. I also wanted to point out at the end there, he kind of talks about Eric Holder and where he's at now. We also have Merrick Garland, who played a huge role in Oklahoma City bombing. I would recommend you guys go check out Richard's Substack. I'm not entirely sure what that is. Let me see. Actually, I'm going to look it up real quick because I don't want to plug that and then not have it. Because I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. It is I'm looking for okcfacts.substack.com. He's got a recent Substack up that we'll probably cover in the show soon about Merrick Garland and where he is at fault in regards to the Oklahoma City bombing. There is definitely blood on his hands for sure. All right, guys, this went a little bit longer than I thought. I thought maybe I'd have enough time to get the Yeeky thread in. Maybe I'll cover that tomorrow. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow, same time. So make sure you guys are here tomorrow. Saturday, I'll be shooting the shit with y'all. But let's. I'm gonna pop in the chat, see if there's anything worth covering before we get out of here. This is great pill. When Tyler's done producing Tower Gang, I will take on the burden. Oh, okay, Jules. We'll keep you in mind. We'll keep you in the wing for when he is gone. Oh, I did one more final thought on that Trenadu piece we just wrote. I wanted to mention the special. They mentioned at one point earlier in the article how there was witness tampering, and so this was written 11 years ago, I said, and that witness tampering, like where they were at in that case. Nothing has changed on that, that side of things legally since then. He has filed new FOIA things, but they are literally still waiting for that special master or whatever to make their determination in the witness tampering part of the case. And he is literally under a gag order right now as a result of that. So that's why you don't actually see Jesse Trendu ever speaking anywhere, because he literally can't, because of 11 years ago, he got given a gag order because the FBI was interfering with his witness. Essentially, it sounds like they, long story short, they were threatening his military disability. And, so essentially they threatened him, the FBI, if he was, testified against them. And, and I guess Trendu got word. And that's where we're at now. He made that accusation, and they appointed a special master or whatever to look into it. That was 11 years ago. Nothing's changed. So, all right, let's pop in this chat. All these things are connected. It's nuts. I know, right? It is wild how much things get. Good stream, Jose. Thank you from Hey Say What Now. Well, thank you. Oh my God. Bye, y'all, from JC. Have a good day, y'all. Goodbye. Thanks, Jose. Have a good day from Eddie. Adios from Doctor. Goodbye. Yeah, guys, like that. Like the video. Don't be. If you like that video. And then Tyler told Jules to fuck off because he says you think I'm giving up the pay for that gig? Yeah, Jules, step off. You're not getting Tower Gang producer money. Not anytime soon. You're going to have to settle for already dead producer money for now. Okay? Everyone's saying bye, 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 everyone. Before you get out of here, I do want to remind you guys, if you want to support me, you can do that over at patreon.com/nowayjose2020. The lowest level is $2, and that gives you the early access to the episodes. For example, that I think it actually should be premiering right now on YouTube, but it's already out elsewhere. I have the episode with Jeremy Ryan Slate that should already be out right now, so you can go check that out. So you can check out the Jeremy Ryan Slate Rome is Burning is the name of the episode, so that's out. But you would have had that early if you're a patron, and then obviously this weekend I'm also going to be covering the Vegas shooting, and if you are a patron, you'll get that early. If you also at the $2 level, you can be a talking head on Already Dead with me and Austin, and then also you can get an ad-free RSS feed. And at the highest level is my sponsors, and I read them off every episode. I have my co-hosts on Tower Gang at Tower Gang Toad. Also have at Abrogate D's, at ZOVERICK, at _ Infinite Zeal. Tim Tuttle, you can follow him at Jolly on Klebo. Then Will Bell is Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine. Then big fan of the show, Torin May. Then also, I had a big brain fart there. At INWARD Lover, at Inward Lover, because we all should learn to look a little bit inward and learn to love ourselves. And I think the world will be a much better place if we all learn to do that. But yeah, with that, guys, I appreciate you showed up. There's a lot of people who popped in today, and fucking the Rumble fucking bustling, dude. But yeah, so I appreciate you showed up. Make sure to hit that like button before you get out of here. If you're listening to this on the RSS feed, whatever your podcatcher you're listening to it in, go hit that 5-star review up at the top, whether it's iTunes, Spotify. Those are usually places that have that. But yeah, bye. See you soon. Oh, but he's talking about JC. But all right, guys, we're out of here. Deuces. See y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye.